The story starts with Eloise tending to the plants and being happy that they are growing. She is proud all her hard work has paid off. She smiles and thinks. Indeed, with such good results, it's no surprise considering how rich and fertile the soil is. She then concludes that's enough for today. She looks back and observes no one would ever think there's a field like this hidden in the forest. However, she stops in her tracks when she reveals she wasn't always so enthusiastic about tending this field. 14 years ago, her mother, the owner of Espencia estate, passed away, and according to the law, all her assets would be inherited by her as she is the daughter. But the Espencia's family's duchess, the wife of the Bacelan duke, seized her mother's property. After that, the duke quickly remarried and replaced all the servants in the mansion with his own people. And then, one day he decided that she seems so shocked she is being sent to the monastery for recuperation. That's how she was abandoned. She tells us there's only one path of the hill to the Vieira monastery, and with the Vieira forest and a cliff behind it, there's no way to leave the forest without passing through the monastery. When she had arrived at the monastery as a scared kid, they told her a quiet, private space must be needed for a noble lady like you, but it was an abandoned place in the forest. Since then, the monastery has sent her food every day, but it wasn't the edible that she almost starved to death before giving in. With determination on her face, she tells us it was hard enough to die, but she did not. She pretended to be sick to lessen their surveillance and survived. She would be grateful if she could continue living freely like this. That's when she notices two shadows in the distance. She's cautious suddenly when she realizes there are people from the monastery. She dashes to her room from the back door and swiftly retrieves a cloak hidden beneath the bed. She quickly wears it while they are waiting and tells her that they have brought her meal. As she opens the door, a foul stench assaults their senses. She is wearing the dirty and smelly cloak. She stammers her thanks, but they, visibly affected by the odor, advise her to stay silent, hastily hand over the food and bolt away, leaving her isolated and alone. She is frustrated and screams as she takes off her cloak, saying she cannot get used to this rotten smell no matter how many times she smells it. As she settles on her bed, she thinks that's strange. Normally only one person comes to deliver and leaves, but today there are two. She wonders if her father sent someone, but thinks why all of a sudden and needs to find out. She steps inside the mansion and sees it's even messier than before, but finds butter, and she thinks she will have to take some butter and sugar while she's at it, as she can find vegetables, fruits, and meat in the forest, but there's no way to find sugar, butter, flour, and milk. She hears footsteps then and realizes someone is coming. She has her back to them while she's pretending to wash dishes and convinces herself to stay calm. She thinks, are they the monks that she has seen before, or are they in charge of cleaning? They converse with each other. One of them asks who is the guest today that got the abbots so worked up. And it seems like our massive donation was made, and he is ecstatic. The other one asks him, is he aware there's a girl abandoned in that hut, and refers to her as Lady Eloise. The other one says, what does he mean by lady? She's just a woman waiting for death in a ruler monastery. They then disclose information that shocks her to the core, revealing that it appears her father was killed. Upon hearing this, her face transforms into a ghostly visage, paling with profound shock. They wonder if now she's the countess and guess about the guest who came today. They think it's someone sent by the late count's wife. Eloise thinks it's the count's wife, Camilla. The monks reveal that according to the law, the inheritance process must be followed within a week of the 10th. If the inheritance isn't settled within that time, things could get complicated. The black-haired man wonders if they want to keep the lady here for a week and believes it's foolish. If that's the case, they should just leave her alone as they have been doing. Why send someone now? But the brown-haired one guesses, considering they went through the trouble by sending someone and giving a large sum to the about, they probably want to get rid of her hair without any hassle. Elo's eyes widen in fear, and she goes completely still. As she is on her way back in the forest, she recalls the man's world from earlier that they want to get rid of her. When she was abandoned here, she spent all day crying in shock at first. She didn't know how to do anything, as at her house, the adults always did it for her. Then, as time passed and she got older, she slowly accepted the situation that she is abandoned and no one is on her side. When she was not satisfied with the food sent by the monastery, she went in search of it by herself with the help of the books left behind by the hunter. She learned the things necessary for survival by reading books and diaries that the hunter abandoned, and that's how she discovered the ground. A ground for farming. She was determined to turn this place into a field and plant beans, potatoes, as she was sick of black bread. Now she's packing everything as she can't die here after surviving like that. Meals are served every 2 days, and today they already brought it, so tomorrow no one will come until that man comes, so she must go right now. She touches the necklace she is wearing and thinks this is the only thing that she must take with her. At first she thought about running away from here, but she did not think her situation would get better, and maybe she could go back to the capital one day. One memory resurfaces in her mind where she was with her mother, who embraced her with love and affection. She also made her promise that one day when she could inherit this beautiful garden could she protect this place. Aloes was worried if she could do that, but her mother assured her of course she is her daughter. Her mother took off her necklace and gave it to her and made her promise to always cherish this necklace. She told her when she's having a hard time, she should wear this necklace and pray while looking at the garden. Then she will get a lot of help. She holds her mother's necklace tightly and says, "Mother, if anyone comes to kill her tomorrow, they will know she's gone. Even if she has a day to spare, she will be caught soon if they send someone from the abbey." She smirks and thinks that's it, she can run away. On her way, she sees her field and the vegetables growing. She thinks it will be harvest season soon, but she won't be able to eat it. She also wonders if she will be able to grow and cook crops in the future. When she arrives at the cliff, she thinks no matter how many times she comes, it's a dizzying height, so nobody had thought that she would run away. It was hard to believe when she first saw the hunter's diary about there's a way down the cliff here. When she first went down, she was so scared that she cried. On weekends, the abbey did not even give her a trashy meal, so she climbed down the cliff and went to the village. She started selling books that she had read and memorized over and over again. Gradually, she became good at bargaining to get the right price. She bought a lot of things with the money she received, from crops to be planted in the field and plain clothes. She thinks they thought she would give up here. She finally climbs down the cliff with the help of rope. Her hands are hurting, but she convinces herself to get it together. From now it's a real deal. The assassin hired to kill her comes at night with a sword, he thinks, if she is asleep already, and that will be better as he can finish her off easily. But when he opens the door and steps in, there's a trap set by her for him, and he falls to the ground and lets out a terrifying scream. Aloes arrives at the capital riding a horse. She smiles when she realizes she is finally back to the capital where Mother used to live. She observes there's a lot more people here now, probably because of the war. 5 years ago, the Beastman race came over the Eternal Mountains in the north and invaded the Empire. The Empire, which barely knew of their existence, was completely unprepared to deal with this large-scale invasion and lost almost all of the northern territories, resulting in swamps of refugees coming to the capital with nowhere else to go. The Empire swiftly assembled their military, and people from various families joined the Imperial Army, and the most famous among these people were the mercenary King Harkin. He is known to cover his face all the time, so few people know about his identity, but he was known as the Mercenary King for over 30 years, so her only guess is that he would be over 50 years of age, and a year ago, the Emperor had granted peerage and various awards to Harkin and many others for their service to the Empire. Aloes further reveals the war may be over, but its after effects still linger in the north. The recovery efforts just got started this year, too, so all these people are still unable to return home. She wonders what she should do, as she is sure the mansion is full of people that work for Camilla. According to the Empire's law, those who are not married are not acknowledged as legal adults. Furthermore, if a parent died, then the child who is a legal adult must declare that he or she intends to inherit the title. If that doesn't happen, then the peerage will be handed over to the surviving spouse, and it has been exactly 1 week since her father passed away, so she needs to get married right now. He realizes marrying a commoner would make things too complicated, so that's no good. There are 3 conditions. 1, he should be a noble. 2, he should be single, and 3, he must report their marriage in 3 hours to the proper office. She realizes that the office closes at 6 o'clock, so the only option left is this: the Mercenary Guild. They say that anything can be requested if there's a payment, and she has brought all her money with her. Anyone who's too greedy might be problematic, so she needs to ask for someone who has a good reputation, not that being greedy will get them anything else. She overhears some people who talk about that 10,000 gold was given to find someone, and they have never heard of so much money just to find someone, and it sounds like a walk in the park. But the man says something seems a little bit strange. It's a 22-year-old girl, blonde with green eyes, who was recently at the abbey. Aloes realizes they are talking about her. She quickly covers her face with the cloak as they step out and wonder, how do they expect them to find anyone with just that information? But they are determined to find her before anyone else finds her. Aloes knows it's Camilla. He realizes it will be 6 o'clock soon, and she does not have much time left. She clenches her fist and prays to God to please help her find it in his heart to send her a husband. And if possible, send her someone right now. That's when someone falls to the ground right in front of her. She is shocked and thinks if he fell from the heavens. That's when she notices someone is running after him and demands for him to pay back the money. He further says that he heard that he's been going around bragging to the ladies that he became a baron and he was lucky enough to kill some beastmen during the war. He says now why don't they see if they can squeeze some money out of him? She wonders if they are bouncers from a gambling den and guesses this poor guy got a bit unlucky. She should better get away from him before she gets pulled into any trouble. Silently standing to leave, she accidentally knocks over a dustbin and catches their attention. The man asks who she is. She replies she's just a nobody who is passing by and please, they should not mind her. They tell her to just get lost. She sighs in relief and tells them yes sir, she will. But just as she takes a step further, the man in cloak grabs her and she asks, "What is it? What's wrong with him?" And he says, "Honey, don't go." Her expressions are of pure confusion and disbelief. She tells him she thinks he's mistaken her for someone else. But he stands up abruptly and declares he did all this for her. She asks him now when was that, and she doesn't know anyone like him. The other man intervenes and says that she's a young woman, isn't she? And he could have sworn that earlier he heard a voice of a woman. He asks if she's really his wife. She tries to deny that she is not. He says if she wants her husband to be productive in bed, shouldn't she give them 50 gold coins to cover the money he borrowed, including the interest? She's furious and says, productive or not, she has no business being in bed with this man. She smiles again and tells him she is not his wife. He whispers in her ear, "Honey, it's 50 gold coins, hurry up and give it to them," and is she going to leave him like that? She tries to put distance between them and clearly tells him that she does not know him. He grabs her hand and notices she doesn't even flinch and thinks what kind of power she has. He whispers in her ear, asking if by any chance does she have 50 gold coins, and if she does, can she lend it to him for a moment? Promises to repay her. She is totally confused and wonders what's up with this guy. When she notices she is affected by his voice, she wonders if he's using some kind of magic. How can he steal someone's soul just with his voice? The man gets annoyed that what they're whispering about and comes nearer to grab Aloes. However, the guy comes in front of her to shield her with her money in his hand. He tells him here, take the money and hands over her money. She is shocked and doesn't know when he got her money. The men count, sit and knows it's exactly 50 gold coins. But when he notices the guy's beauty, he says, but if he doesn't have money, would he consider working at their place? The customer would love him. With that face, he could make a fortune. The guy says sorry, but that's not going to work. He is the type to only obey one person and brings Aloes' hand and presses a kiss on her knuckles and refers to her as honey. She is completely bewildered at this point. He then announces that they have given them the money, so let's leave it at that, and grabs her hand and takes her along with him. When they come to the corner, she's panting and he asks if she's okay and apologizes for dragging her into this all of a sudden and explains it's just how the situation unfolded. He further adds he will return the 50 gold coins right away. It will take a bit of a walk, but if they go to his place in the Western District, she notices she doesn't have much time and turns to him suddenly and asks if he's really a noble. He's confused, but answers anyway that he is a noble and an heir apparent at least. She grabs him by his cloak and says the 50 gold coins that he owes her doesn't he plan to repay her with his body. On the other hand, Camilla is sitting on her sofa and sighs. The maid says if she lies down like that, her dress will wrinkle. She replies, so what? She won't wear it again after the funeral. She then orders the maid to go get her some alcohol, and they're expecting a guest soon and show them to the room right away. A few days ago, Merchant Association President came to greet her and said she must be grieving deeply, but it's really rare to find such a vast mansion in the capital. It's the perfect land for the massive arcade they're planning, so once the funeral is over, she should sell it to them. They will buy the entire estate, including Espenzia's top floor. They also promised to pay her handsomely for it, so she agreed to sign the contract right after the funeral. She says even though it was once the Empire top floor, it's now at the level of a local business to think she would buy it with all its troubles that she can't even manage. It's a perfect deal. She thinks it's good that she sent that girl away to the monastery when she was young. She recalls a memory where the Aloes was being stubborn and saying that it's her mom's mansion and she wants to inherit it. Camilla thinks she has to reveal her intentions for the inheritance today, but it seems like she has given up since she hasn't shown herself yet. She is sure people from the Baselan family will never guess her true intentions, and she will sell everything and move to the south to live luxuriously. But then she wonders, why is the association president taking so long? Upon hearing some noises, she deduces that it seems the merchants have arrived. She steps out to greet them personally. The carriage stops, however, the person who steps out is no one other than Aloes. The maids run to her to inform her that today they cannot accept any customer, but she tells them she is not a customer. She takes off her cloak and declares she came to get back what's hers. The old maid gets shocked as she remembers that eye color and hair color. She knows it's Lady Aloes. She says she is glad someone remembers her, and Camilla, arrogant as ever, underestimates her and says she grew up in an abbey and became ignorant of the law. She has to be married if she wants to inherit the assets. She points out she is not married, so she doesn't have any right. But to her shock, Aloes takes out her marriage certificate and says, is she talking about this? She then says she should introduce her husband Lakshan to her. Camilla realizes she must have heard about the inheritance law somewhere, but even so with some northern barbarian. She states she cannot believe her, who has been in this abbey all this time, is married, and asks when on earth did she meet that man. She further asks what if he's a suspicious man? Aloes replies it's not something she should worry about and states Lakshan as her husband is not lacking. Camilla observes that his arms and legs look fine, so he must have a problem with his face, and she will have to break that confident spirit first. She then says, then why is he covering his face like that, like he's hiding something that cannot be shown? Aloes tries to reply, but Camilla cuts her off, demanding that if he's confident, he should show his face. Lakshan jokes that everyone is so worried about his wife he takes off his cloak and winks, asking if she is relieved now. Aloes notices he's really handsome. Lakshan acts super lovey-dovey with her and asks her, isn't this enough time to say hello, as he cannot wait to be alone with her. She wonders what happened to him. He did not act like this at the government office. She recalls when they were at the government's office, she asked for his name when signing the paper, but she wasn't too sure and asked him if he's okay with this. He says, didn't she say it was an emergency? She replied, but getting married for money she thinks isn't a good idea. He laughed and joked that he did not think that's what the person who told him to pay back with his body would say. He assured her it's okay, and she said they would get this worse after the trouble is over. He encouraged her to do it. She thought to herself she was going to be careful when choosing her husband. She never thought she would pick it up on the street. He then asked her if she was going straight to the mansion now. She replied no, there's someone she needed to meet before that. Back to the present, she makes it clear to Camilla that whatever she thinks, this is a document approved by the government, which means she is now the Count of Baseland and the owner of this place. Camilla is mad that she referred to herself as the owner of this place. That's when the carriage of the mercenaries arrives. Camilla is more than eager to greet them, while Aloes is confused and asks Lakshan if he knows them. He tells them a little, but they don't know him. He warns her they are mercenaries, so they are a little intimidating. The president steps out of the carriage and greets Camilla, and is happy that she has personally come to receive them. She smiles and says of course she's been waiting for so long, but there is a bit of a problem. He asks her what does she mean by a problem. She leans in closer and whispers in his ear. An uninvited person suddenly appeared. Aloes asks them who are they? One of the men replies they are here to meet the Countess Camilla today, and it's the chairman of the Merchants Association. She introduces herself as Aloes Espentia Baseland and tells him from today she is the Countess of Baseland. Camilla tells the president that if Aloes had come a little late their contract would have ended safely. The president smiles, but his intentions don't look good at all when he says that if the new count came a little later. His men say, what are they saying? The new countess came later, after the contract was already signed. They further say that maybe she won't come forever. Aloes is truly furious, her emotions boiling with intense anger. Lakshan asks her should he get rid of those people for her. She asks him how is he going to knock all those people down alone. He tells her there's nothing he cannot do. She smiles and says she knows it's only empty words, but thanks and thinks to herself, she almost believed him and asked him to do it for her. He again says is she not going to ask him to help her? She tells him yeah, because this is her problem. Camilla shouts hey what are they doing and asks them to hurry up and seize those bastards. The men come and capture both of them. Aloes screams to let go of him. He has nothing to do with this. Lakshan says what does she mean he got nothing to do with her, and reminds her he is her husband, and she feels good to know that he is worried about her. But when he says it like that, she also feels a bit sad. That's when Camilla intervenes and tells him to stop joking around. She asks her if she thinks that a long-lost child will be acknowledged as a countess when she comes back. She reminds her she has been in the abbey for 14 years, but it seems like she couldn't learn how to be obedient and her gaze looks exactly the same as when she was a child. Eloise asks what kind of contact she has with the merchants. She replies it's nothing much because the countess who lost her husband and fell into grief was in so much pain when she saw the mansion full of memories and is trying to be calm. She further adds that her father wanted to hold on to the pride of a count and he was really holding out and not selling this old mansion until the very end, even though they could have lived in a beggar mansion if they sold this one and went to the southern region. But Camilla believes now is the end of such a foolish act. Her husband died and she came too late when she opens her eyes again. Perhaps she will meet her parents. Eloise smirks and says that does she think she came without taking those things into consideration. She says she also knows her situation, the fact that there's no one who is going to stand by her side. Camilla wonders why she is being so confident. That's when a carriage arrives from the imperial palace. Camilla is shocked because she knows from the uniform that it's from the imperial palace. She orders them to let go of her because she knows it will be a problem if Eloise discloses what happened now. Lakshan comes after his wife and asks if she's okay. She tells him yeah. Marcus Lexian, imperial family's minister of finance, steps out of the carriage and notices everyone is out here. Camilla and the president are shocked about why Minister Lexian is here. Minister Lexian's eyes land on Lakshan. He hesitates a bit and wonders why is that person here. He notices there are a lot more people than he expected and asks if he has to wait. Eloise assures him that all of them are uninvited guests, so she's about to send them away soon and thanks him for coming here. Lexian reminds her that he should be the one thanking her instead because she said that she's going to donate all her territories and wealth, including this mansion, to the country. Camille and the men are shocked. Camilla is flabbergasted and says, "What? What does she mean?" Lexian thinks no matter how the prior count squandered his wealth, he still has so many territories in the region and lots of jewels as well as works of the art in this mansion. However, she's going to donate everything, even this mansion, to the country. Eloise thinks she was hesitating throughout her way to the capital as she was wondering she needed a method to safely protect the Count's mansion from Camilla. That's when this idea lit up in her mind to give all of it to the person that Camilla won't dare to go against. Lexian tells her a donation of such a huge scale is the first in history and he has caused her trouble for coming at this time. She assures him not at all. She is only feeling grateful because he is preparing it for her right away, although it was a sudden request. She tells him she will entrust everything to him and requests him to take care of the terms that she asked him beforehand. He says of course he will definitely take care of it. She will donate everything. However, the term is to maintain this mansion and the garden as they are. With this, she kept her promise to her mother. After Eloise deals with everything, she comes out to meet Lakshan and apologizes and asks if he's been waiting for long. He says it's all right, she looks busy, and asks if she can come out like this. She says no matter how busy she is, she still has to look after her savior. She gives him the money and says it is his payment for helping her today, and these are some stuff that she found after searching through Camilla's room. She tells him that since Minister Lexian decided to turn a blind eye to it and give her these items, he can sell these too. Of course, he doesn't have to return the 50 gold now. He tells her she's very generous, but she disagrees. If he were not there today, all of this wouldn't have happened. She says if she thinks of it, this is rather a very small payment, and she also expresses her gratitude. He asks for. She recalls the memory where he had offered to get rid of those bastards for her. She explains that when he said that he would help her back then, and to be honest, Camilla was scary indeed. But since he said that he would knock all of them down by himself, she unconsciously smiled. She brightly smiles at him and thanks him. At this moment he looks totally captivated by her, but then he asks her what is she going to do now as she lost everything. She says everyone thinks she lost everything, but she thinks she has protected them. She states that this garden and mansion that existed in this empire will be maintained forever. Is there any other method to protect the mansion that's better than this one? He is curious to know that doesn't she feel that it's such a shame to lose everything and it was all hers. She replies she would be lying if she said she was not tempted by them. But if she were to try owning all of them, she wouldn't be safe like this, would she? And it's not like she lost everything. She took care of herself in her own way. He questions her what is she going to do now. She replies for now, she's thinking of leaving the capital. That's when a maid comes and requests her to come back inside. She tells him she has to go and asks him to be careful on his way back. She also reminds him to not forget to meet her in front of the government office at 3:00 p.m. on Monday as they have to get divorced. When he returns back to the place he is currently staying at, some men come and ask if he has returned now. He seems annoyed and says he did not know that they're still waiting for him, and asks if he finished the business in the gambling house well. The man refers to him as His Highness and expresses his gratitude to him for his help, and informs him they are able to safely gather all the evidence. The man also looks very intimidated by His Highness. He tells him to forget it, and asks if he reported the fact that he did not come back to his brother. The man hesitates, and Lakshan realizes that he did. The man explains that His Majesty had given him a strict command to report everything to him. Lakshan says he's safe, and he wrapped up everything his brother told him to do. He further adds he doesn't have to guard the surroundings, so it was an unnecessary concern. He will report everything to his brother tomorrow, so he needs to go. The man hesitates, but Lakshan narrows his eyes and lets him know this is not a request. The men cower in front of him and run for their lives. Later, he's laying on his bed and thinks it was a long day. It's obvious since he even had to marry someone. He opens the contract and sees a marriage acknowledged only by a piece of paper. Really funny. He then thinks about Aloes, and he did not know that things would turn out this way. He recalls what had happened earlier. He needed to buy time for his men to look around upstairs, so he needed to draw the guards' attention. He flirted with the women there, asked for their money, and caught the attention of the guards. He jumped out of the window so they would follow him. He did not want to be suspected until the end. He thinks it was a really weird meeting, and why did it happen to be in that place? He also thinks of her shiny blonde hair and how he thought they would be really soft if he touched them. Suddenly, he feels crazy about thinking like that. He decides to go back to his hometown too. His Majesty keeps trying to keep him in the capital. He also thinks how His Majesty will get upset if he finds out that he got married today, but it was fake. If it were real, Lowe's would be lying here with him now because it is their first night now. He suddenly jumps out of the bed when he realizes what is he even thinking. Aloes is outside on the balcony. She thinks she doesn't even realize that she's married, but she can't believe she's getting divorced right away, and she is all alone again. Then she thinks again. She was alone from the beginning ever since she was abandoned in the cabin. She recalls her mother's words that when she is having a hard time, she should wear this necklace and pray while looking at the garden. Then she will get a lot of help. Says she's not having a hard time, but what should she do from now on? That's when the pendant shines and she is surprised. Next day, Lakshan is sitting at the imperial palace and is annoyed because His Majesty is taking a long time. He decides to walk in the garden, but then decides against it as he doesn't need to stand out. He then looks at the portrait of his mother, who was the emperor, and wonders if he looks like her. He recalled the childhood memories where he used to ask his father how his mother looked. His father realized that his son had never seen her. He had told him that she was a wonderful person and was always shining. He recalls father's face when he would draw his mother's sketches and would smile, and the young him would join his father and laugh. One day his father had brought white lilies, and he asked why did he buy flowers like this. His father was crying and told him that the emperor passed away and told him he wanted to be alone for a while. On the day of her death, his father had told Lakshan that her mother was the former emperor Ukresha. He explained that after Her Majesty dealt with the traitor, she met him and gave birth to him, and then he and his son lived a secluded life. He also gave him a necklace that she had told him to bring when he needed help. He warned his son to never go there, but he should keep it. Soon after the war broke out, Harkin was fatally wounded while evacuating residents from the battlefield. Harkin was the male protagonist's father who announced upon his death that from now on Lakshan is the mercenary King Harkin. He took command of the mercenaries, pretending to be his father, and evacuated the villagers. Harkin's death remained only in the hearts of him and his colleagues. At that time, he thought it would be good to disappear quietly after the war. Back in the present, His Majesty finally arrives and is not okay with the formalities with his brother. He met with his brother during the final showdown between the Imperial Army and the Suing people with all their might. The Emperor was also present there. At first the Imperial Army seemed dominant, but soon the Emperor's army was isolated as the enemy dug into the flank. The Emperor seemed to be completely surrounded by the Suing people. Lakshan realized that if he did not intervene to protect his brother, he might die. That's when he went and fought and protected His Majesty, who recognized his brother Lakshan at first sight. He thinks even though the bandage was torn, it was still amazing that he noticed it right away. His Majesty notices that Lakshan is thinking about something and asks him about it. He replies that he is thinking about the first time that he met His Majesty on the battlefield, and he knew who he was right away. And it's fascinating to think about it again, because he noticed it even before he saw the necklace. His Majesty replies that's because the late emperor often told him about his brother. She explained to his son that as soon as Lakshan was born, she returned to the palace and she didn't even know what he looked like. But she thought he looked a lot like his father when he was born. His Majesty believes that he would still recognize him right away, even if he hadn't heard about him before. He could say that the royal family has a good sense, and there's an animal sense in that part. His Majesty says in that case his brother also recognized him right away, but he still addresses him as His Majesty. Lakshan thinks to himself he never intended to call him his brother. He thinks to himself that a younger brother who suddenly appears to the emperor who doesn't have descendants. It's like a seed of trouble. He thinks that he would be a prospective traitor to some few truth-knowing subjects, and he doesn't have to be so vigilant like that. His Majesty says that he heard that he helped a lot on the gambling house problem, and thanks to him things are going to be easy now. But there's another problem, that is his marriage. Lakshan smiles and thinks he already did it. He tells His Majesty that he doesn't have to be worried about his marriage issue. His Majesty says why shouldn't he be worried? He's already 26 years old. That means he's already 6 years older than the average age to get married in the empire. Lakshan thinks to himself that he started again. His Majesty declares that he has decided to set up a meeting for him with all the women of marriageable age, since he will be busy meeting all of them. He should prepare his heart. Upon hearing this, Lakshan's face pales and goes into shock. The emperor happily tells him that he will set up a meeting for him starting tomorrow, so he's going to stay in the royal palace for now. He says brother. The emperor's taken aback by his calling him as his brother for the first time. Lakshan says to be honest, he has a person who he thinks of as his partner. The emperor doesn't believe it because he hasn't talked about it even once. He explains that it's because he would tell him to bring that person right away if he talked about it, and how bothersome it would be for her if she had to meet His Majesty all of a sudden. Lakshan states that once the Northerners choose their partners, they won't look at other people until they die. So he hopes that his brother will understand that he has no choice but to be more careful about it, and thinks wow, the lights were smooth. His Majesty says he gets it. Lakshan sighs in relief, but then he asks, what's her name? As the emperor believes he can at least tell him her name. He cannot just keep calling her his partner. Lakshan ends up telling his brother that her name is Alose. The emperor asks what kind of person is Alose. He replies that she is an energetic and wonderful person. He then asks for her hair color. He replies shiny blonde, and then he asks for her eye color and all the other details. He only stops once he is satisfied, however. Then he says it will obviously be burdensome for her to be summoned to the royal palace, so he will be the one who goes out to meet her. Lakshan is so confused that he thinks he doesn't have any other choice other than to run away. On the other hand, Alose has already arrived at the government office, and when she sees she is alone she wonders if she has arrived early. However, since it's somewhat uncomfortable to look at the mansion now that it's no longer hers, she also finished all the businesses that were required for the donation. She realizes it would have been nice to bring along an escort with her, but she cannot be caught having a divorce. Also, she cannot trust the people in the mansion. She recalls how all the maids were being hesitant in front of her and thinks in the mansion she couldn't drink a glass of water comfortably. She feels, to be honest, it would be better to postpone the divorce until everything becomes more peaceful. But there's no way Lakshan would do it, so it's better to hurry and get divorced. She startles as pain shoots through her neck, realizing someone has pierced her with a needle. In confusion she wonders about it, but soon recognizes the ominous onset of unconsciousness as it overwhelms her. Someone inquires if she's feeling all right. It seems that she is not feeling all right, so she should just lean on to her. Alose recognizes this voice is of Camilla. Camilla tells her to get her senses together as they have a lot of conversations to have. The person she sent lost one of his legs and 2 fingers. Alose realizes she cannot speak and wonders if she's going to die like this. She thinks about Lakshan and realizes that if she died immediately after registering their marriage, the suspicion will fall on him. Camellia asks her man why she is so weak and they should hurry up and also bring her along with them. She orders them to hurry up and help her lift her up. They bring her in the alley and Camille asks was the drug too strong? Why isn't she able to wake up? She says that she might regain consciousness if she starts cutting her hands and legs off right. She decides to do it, but a warning to let go of her stops her before she can act on her evil intentions. When she looks up, it's Lakshan, who looks clearly pissed off and mad. He asks them what are they doing to his wife. Camilla says it was his turn next anyway, but he came here on his own. Moreover, is he going to imitate a mercenary with nothing on him? She instructs her men to catch him. One of the big men runs after him with an axe in his hand. However, Lakshan delivers a powerful punch in his face and he falls to the ground. Camilla and his men are left standing with their faces drained of color. He says, imitating a mercenary, that's his best skill. Later at night, Eloise slowly regains consciousness. As her senses return, she startles, leaping in bed, and screams Camilla's name. When she notices this unfamiliar place, she wonders, where is it? Lakshan comes in with a tray in his hands and notices she is awake. She asks him why is he here and then what is this place. He tells her that she should eat some food first. Because the antidote is so strong, the doctor said that her stomach cannot be empty, and he said that she will feel dizzy until the poison is completely neutralized. She realizes, come to think of it, she feels a bit dizzy too. She then asks him what happened to Camilla. And what about those mercenaries? He tells her this is the inn where he stays. He lies to her that when he arrived at their meeting place, he saw her being dragged to the alley. The truth is, he killed all of them and did not even spare Camilla. He then ordered his men to come out and take care of all the mess and asked for the nearest hospital from there. However, he tells her a different story which won't make her run for the hills. He says, looking at her being dragged to the alley, he reported it to the security guards. The security guards came and saved her, and Camilla with her mercenaries were taken in custody for suspicion of objection. She asks him that those people were meekly taken in custody. He says it seemed like there was some kind of problem among them. Within that short time, they had a fight and fainted and everything seemed chaotic. He assures her that woman Camilla also got poisoned by her hired mercenary and fainted. She thanks him for his help, but he says it's his duty to his wife. He then ushers her to eat the food as it's getting cold. She is reluctant at first, but as she takes a bite, she finds it very delicious and ends up eating it all. He asks her what is she going to do from now on. He tells her that Camilla is in prison, but it seems like her relatives are rioting. According to the Empire laws, people can reclaim what has been donated to the Empire within 1 year. She believes she should go far away from the capital for now. He asks her if she has the money for her travel. She assures him she has that much. She explains at least the people from the Ministry of Finance hid some assets before the mansion was checked. Well, those people turned a blind eye to some extent and gave them to her. Also beside that, when her pendant shined that night, she realized that there was a hole in that place. It was a safe. Inside was a password for another safe where emergency funds were kept, and the emergency fund is kept in 5 places. She recalls how her mother told her that she should find and use them in case of an emergency. Her mother even apologized that the emergency fund was small, and she now freaked out that how 100,000 gold was a small fund. She thinks to herself that with 100,000 golds, she can buy a good house in a big city, and the money will still remain. Even if she lives leisurely her whole life, she thinks, let's hold on for 1 year. He asks her again where she is going. She replies honestly that she is not sure. She says she wants to go as far as she can since she doesn't have any plans in mind. He asks her how about going to his hometown. She is startled for a moment. He thinks, what did he end up saying? Then he explains that he said it because she said she wants to go far away. He further adds it's a good and quiet place and thinks if she will refuse. But to his surprise, she looks excited and eager to know more about his hometown. He tells her his hometown is a small village in the north. There are about 100 households in total. She replies she likes that as she thinks, since it's a small village, it will be a good place to hide from her relatives. He also tells her it has a fertile soil, so whatever she plants will grow well there, and when the wheat has ripened, the field's color turns gold and the village kids do fishing in the river. She notices he really likes his hometown, and it's the exact suitable place for her the more she listens to him. Because the northern area was incorporated into the empire just a couple of years ago, the aristocrats won't go there since it's an uncivilized land. But then a question arises in her mind. She asks him why is he being so kind to her? She says, setting aside their marriage of convenience, he could have left her in the hospital, but he's even looking after her, and he's even telling her about his hometown as a place to hide. She asks him does he give suggestions to all the women he meets. He is quick to deny the accusation. He tells her to be honest, he needs to ask something. He looks a little bit nervous, but then he asks her, would she be his partner? Eloise realizes that's how the Northerners call their spouse. For them, marriage is a sacred relationship that's committed in front of God. Once they become partners, they can never separate, and even after their partners have died, they have to live alone their whole life. She realized when she was a child, she had read that because of that, there are many people who prefer to date only, and there are also people who have kids with their lovers without making them their partners. Lakshan quickly corrects himself that he was asking her to pretend to be his partner, not to be his real partner. He explains everything to her. She repeats his words that he doesn't really want to get married, but his imperialist half-brother forced him to get married, so he lied about having someone in mind to be his partner, and then he ended up mentioning her name as he pleased along with the description of her appearance, right? He looks ashamed and apologizes to her. He explains that his brother is somewhat persistent, so he's a person who will search up all the documents about her, and he couldn't really explain that it was a misunderstanding. She tells him, "All right, it means that they have to be in a married situation for a while, right?" He asks her if it is really okay. She tells him that he is her savior who saved her life, that much is nothing, and she has superior motives in her mind too. In that way, she won't gain suspicions from her relatives, who may think that it's a marriage of convenience. She's okay with this because they only have to maintain this marriage for a couple more years. After that, His Majesty gave them the marriage certificate and a letter. There's no way he will come to meet them, right? Lakshan is lost in all these thoughts when Alose calls his name. She asks if he's really all right. As expected, it's too much for him, right? She will pay for the wagon, isn't that what he's worried about? He assures her he's really all right. He was just calculating the schedule of their trip. He thinks the poor mercenary image has been clearly stamped on his face because of their first encounter. He wonders if she will faint if she knows that all the surrounding areas in his hometown are his territory. He was tired of the role of mercenary king in the war, so it was the land that he received to live ordinary with his colleagues in his hometown. But due to its fertile granaries, this place has to pay a huge tax. The properties bestowed by His Majesty were already too much. They were given to him as a gift by the Majesty for saving his life. He believes there is no need to explain it, and it's also been a long time since someone has worried about her. When they reach, she feels dizzy. He asks her if she's all right and gives her the water. She tells him she felt like dying. He reminds her she was excitedly admiring the views in the beginning. She explains because she had always been highly tense in capital, so it was her first time admiring the views comfortably from a wagon. She says it's thanks to him that she could peacefully admire the view this time and expresses her gratitude to him. The man of the inn welcomes them. Alose tells him that they are going to stay for one day, and he should provide them with dinner and breakfast as well. He asks if they want one room. She is going to deny, but Lakshan cuts in and says they want the same room. The man apologizes for his insensitivity and realizes there are a couple. Lakshan agrees and says they are a newly married couple. They don't want to be apart even for 1 hour. He then asks to take his leave since his wife is tired. The man says both of them are in their prime time, so they can order dinner until late at night. He smiles and pushes her and says, "Let's go, honey," and she's super confused about it. The room looks more like a honeymoon suite, and both of them are standing in front of it awkwardly. Elzo grabs Candelabrum with the intention of hitting Lakshan with accusing him of being a wolf like all men. He raises his hands trying to explain. Lakshan tells Alose that beyond this hill is his hometown Eldon. She asks him if by chance he means paradise in ancient words, right? She tells him that it's a nice name. She asks him to tell her more about his hometown. Lakshan smiles as he asks if she wants to hear it all over again, as she has been listening to all of it while coming all the way here. Elzo holds his hand as she expresses to him that she is feeling so excited that she is finally going to arrive at the place that she will be living in from now on. She also ponders deep down that she should not be paying too much attention to a place that she will be leaving in a year in the end. But deep down, there are so many things that she wishes to do. She wishes to pick a clean house and a garden, as well as wants to prepare lunch with fresh vegetables, fruits, and freshly baked breads, and for dinner, she wants to eat and talk with people at a village restaurant. She is aware that from now on she is able to do anything that she desires. She beams with excitement thinking about how in this wonderful town that Lakshan told her she will have so many new memories. She is suddenly confused as she stares ahead of her. It turns out that the village Lakshan was talking about is in a very poor condition, which is known as the rich and peaceful village of Eldon. Lakshan expresses that it is looking better than he had expected, which leaves Alose speechless. She asks him does he think this is actually better. He states that he thought there might be no trace or anything as the whole area unfortunately was swept away by war. Alose, with a worrisome expression on her face, turns to him and asks him if he was aware of the condition of this village. He responds yes, he was well aware of it. He realizes that since Alose was interested in his hometown, he ended up only talking about the good things and did not tell her the current situation of the village. He has never told anyone about his hometown because he is living as a Harkin and realizes that in the end he was being too excited. He has a sad expression on his face as he is aware that just like a fool he made a fuss about it, not knowing about much as he was too excited. He is aware that Alose would have been drawing her own future, and also knows that she does not want to stay in a place like this even if she wants to rest for a while. He tells her that if she wishes to leave from here, then he is okay with searching for a new place where they could stay. She suddenly apologizes to him, which leaves him with a sense of confusion. She tells him that it is his hometown, and she is sure that he must be more upset after seeing all of this and encountering this state of his hometown. She is aware that she cannot complain to someone whose hometown was destroyed just because it did not turn out as she had imagined, just because her imagination was broken. She thinks that Lakshan must have been desperate. He smiles brightly as he tells her that it is nothing that she should be feeling sorry about. He tells her that it's the Sun people who set the fire, but still he tells her to forget it and they should go to their house. He informs that she should better get some rest now and asks her to give him her bag too, as he will carry it for her. Lakshan ponders that the other parts of the empire are lucky that only the north side got hit, and he did not care about the damage to the north. He did not expect to receive an apology. He shows her the home that they will be staying in from now on and states that it just needs a little fixing for it to get back to its original state. Suddenly a man yells at them and asks them why are they in someone else's neighborhood. The man is suddenly stunned, questioning who is this. Before he realizes who he is, before Lakshan rushes to him and punches him in the stomach, asking him to call him captain, otherwise he will kill him, as he calls the man Qian. Before stating that he is okay with being called Lakshan too, Qian looks at Aloz and asks Qian if she is someone that should not be finding out about his identity. Lakshan responds that she is an acquaintance's daughter and he only brought her because she had nowhere to go. Qian thinks about weird scenarios as he asks if that's really the case. Lakshan asks him what's up with those eyes. Qian states that it's because he has never brought in a girl before ever in his life. He questions if she is from the Empire, and as well as questioning Lakshan if that one is his preferences. Lakshan hits him as Aloz ponders that she is unable to listen properly from such a distance and thinks that he must be a close friend to him. Lakshan tells Qian to go to his colleagues since he will be living here as Lakshan now, so he should not call him captain from now on. He asks Qian if he understands. Qian is filled with worrisome expressions as he asks that he cannot hide it forever, can he? Lakshan mentions that she is going to leave in a year and wonders if maybe she could leave sooner than that. Lakshan tells Qian to stop talking nonsense and go away now as he smacks him. Qian wonders if she is really leaving after a year. He smirks as he ponders that he thinks otherwise. Aloz asks Lakshan if that is his friend. Lakshan responds that his name is Qian and it is his old friend. Aloz asks Qian if he could go and come back real quick. As he is not sure what Qian will end up telling the others, Aloz informs him that it is okay and he can go and come as he wishes to. Lakshan tells her that she can go inside first and take a look around the house. Lakshan runs there as he calls out to Qian. One of the men calls him captain, to which Qian tells him that he has already told him that he should not call him captain. Raman responds, who cares, as Qian is the one who is going to die anyway by him. The man standing behind him is Kugan. Duras calls Lakshan as captain and mentions that he is glad to see him back. Eden states that he had thought their captain was going to stay in the capital for the rest of his life. Lakshan tells them that he has made it clear that no one should be calling him captain and they should drop their honorifics. Raman asks him who followed him to this town, a shadow or a spy. Lakshan responds that it is just a guest who is going to be staying here for a little while. Qian whispers into their ears that guest is a woman. This suddenly runs to see the guest as Lakshan follows them behind, calling them punks and asking them to stop. As they reach the front of the house, they notice smoke as they wonder what is going on. Inside, Aloz is having trouble breathing as the house is caught on fire. They wonder if it is fire that is causing the smoke. Lakshan bursts open the door, calling out to Aloz and questioning if she is okay. Aloz rushes to him and seems worried about the door as he has broken the door. Lakshan realizes it's not serious as he expresses that he thought something was going on because there was smoke. He notices this smell as it turns out that a few hours ago, when Aloz stepped into the house, she noticed that the house was very dirty. She looked around as her eyes set on something. She noticed that there was even a carpet in this room. She realized that this carpet was a very expensive carpet as it was a color that could only be dyed in the southern island region. They use secret dyes that no one knows. She thinks that the owners must have made a big decision to buy it, but sees that it is left unattended. She is aware that she will have to trim it later. She noticed that this place is amazing as it is. She was stunned as she even found an oven and an expensive pot as well. She was aware that there were more expensive items than she had thought. She knows that she has to wash them up before she uses them. She finds it a good thing as she was feeling bored anyway. She heard that these kind of houses has doors that lead to the backyard. She finds it as she knows as she had expected. She knew there would be a well as well. She takes out a bucket of water as she ponders that there is no moss and the water is very clear. She is aware she can use the water right away. She wonders who took care of the water for it to be so clean. She realizes that this is way more fun than she had thought. She thinks that she should look for something else. She thinks that there must be a big bucket somewhere here. As she opens a door, she finds all kinds of foods, realizing it is the food storage. She is aware that the food quality is not that good with these ingredients. She can cook it and knows she has been waiting to try it since she was in the Abbey. She decides to cook as she takes out some ingredients. She has not cooked it yet because she was afraid she will get caught as she made a fire in the Abbey. She sees that it has been neglected for quite a time, so it is not wiping well. She is aware that at times like this the remedy of mixing vinegar and salt in 1-to-1 ratio is perfect. She has seen the Abbey kitchen do it like this as well. She has read books to survive. She did not know what she learned secretly in the Abbey kitchen would be so helpful. She cooks it as she takes a spoon of it and ponders that she feels free now. She is aware that after she left Abbey she ran away crazily and even got married to receive her inheritance and then ran away again. She is aware that she is free now. Lakshan calls out to Eloise as she looks at them. He is surprised as well as his friends. Lakshan questions that during that short time she made a meat stew. She responds yes, she did, and asks if he would like to eat it with his friends. He ponders friends before he gives them a dead glare which tells them that if any one of them dared to call him captain he will kill them. They are all scared by his look. After the food is served, Eloise asks Lakshan if he liked the food and if it is worth eating. Lakshan is filled with astonishment as he responds that he has never had a meat stew like this before. He asks if she only does cooking in the Abbey. The others also states that it is the best one they have eaten so far, as well as wishing to eat this stew forever. Eloise finds it a relief as she mentions that if she knew this would happen she would have boiled it more. One states that it is worth filling the warehouse and asks, "Isn't that right?" Lakshan responds that it is right. Chian mentions that he has heard that Eloise is staying in this town for a while, and if she does not mind he questions if she can cook for them. Lakshan asks him what is he even talking about. He continues that how will Eloise make meals every time for all of them, and also mentioning that they even eat too much. Eloise responds that she actually wishes to do it. She tells him that she wishes to cook for them. Chian mentions that the food was awesome. Roman tells Chian to put the tableware down calmly. Lakshan also tells her that it's very delicious, and they thanks her for giving them such a delicious meal. One of them mentions that until now they would just roll the ingredients because they cannot cook, and she is going to take care of cooking from now on. Lakshan does not seem very happy with it. After a while, Lakshan is washing the dishes as Eloise ponders that Lakshar is good at washing dishes, but the bowl is oily, and even sees that he is good at cutting fruits as well. But she seems nervous as she asks if by any chance he is mad at her. He suddenly turns around in shock as he tells her that is impossible. She tells him that he has been quiet since others left and asks if it is because she said that she will cook as she pleases. She seems quiet down as Lakshar ponders that why would he be mad at someone who cooks a delicious meal. He tells her that he is being like this because he is feeling sorry. He mentions that he just told her some nice things and brought her here, and this town is a mess, and it's like he brought her here to cook as he calls his friends some wild pigs. He imagines Xian as a pig asking Eloise for some croissant. As well as others, he is frustrated because of them for saying such things. He asks isn't her memory too distorted? He mentions that he is really ashamed of himself as she is his guest. She calls out to him as she mentions that she does not wish to be a guest. She states that even if she is here for just a year, she does not want to live awkwardly as a stranger. She ponders that it feels like she is being pushed out of line. She felt so sick of being alone when she could not talk to anyone she started stuttering. So she talked desperately to a bird, to a fruit, and to a wild rabbit. She wanted to talk to people, so she kept going down to the village even though it was dangerous. But in the end she was always alone when she got back. However, she mentions that this mealtime was really different for her as she could make a big portion without the need to save ingredients, and they savored it all. They asked about her and told her their story, to the point where she wanted it to last forever. She also states that she wants to cook many things, but she cannot eat everything by herself. Before Lakshan tells her that he will eat it, he mentions that she should make a lot, and he will eat it all, so she does not have to give it to the other guys. He blushes as she thanks him for his words. He is filled with embarrassed as he ponders what did he just ended up saying. She smiles as he ponders that she did not need to get his permission. Lakshan states that while they are here, he is her guardian, but he did not bring her here to order her, he just wanted her to be comfortable. He states that she is free to do all she wants, but she should not let the price of her labor slide and make sure she gets it. She responds that it is something that she is very good at. He mentions then he will wash the rest of dishes and make the bed upstairs. She mentions that she will go up after looking at the ingredients. She tells him that she is looking forward to tomorrow's food. She is speechless as well as taken aback as she questions, "What is this?" She sees that everything on the inside is rotten, wondering when did they bring this? She questions to herself, why are there more potatoes and it is even sprouted? She looks at all the butter and questions how much butter did they even buy. Noticing that it's all gone bad, she suddenly sees an insect causing her to fall down. She realizes that it is worse than the abbey. She finds it a mess. She ponders that she is sure everyone is struggling as mercenaries, as she cannot believe they are wasting their money on something that they cannot even eat. She rushes out for Lakshan as she asks what is with the condition of the food storage. She tells him that most of the things they bought are rotten and useless. Lakshan is surprised as he asks if that is really the case. He mentions that Kian said he was going to deal with the food vendor. He mentions he will ask Kian tomorrow and tells her that most importantly he has put a new sheet on it so she should sleep here tonight. He mentions that he will leave now. She questions where is he going to leave if he is not sleeping here. He tells her that there is only one bed so he will sleep at Kian's. He states that if anything happens she should blow this whistle as he gives it to her. He mentions that it is a flute that can be heard even beyond the mountain, and he will come tomorrow morning so she should sleep tight. She responds all right, and she will see him tomorrow. She takes a better look at it as she ponders that if she puts it on like this, she won't lose it right. She decides to blow it when she is with Lakshan. She thinks that it would be a big trouble if he ran here because she blew it as a joke. She decides to organize luggage as she thinks that anyway she has to go to another house tomorrow. She decides to take a bath. She goes to the washroom as she is surprised to see that Lakshan got her some warm water. She thinks that no wonder he kept falling water even after washing the dishes. She is aware that she ended up being indebted to him again. She even finds it kind of him to go to another house to sleep. She knows that it is hard for an adult man and woman to sleep in the same place, but she thought it would be okay if it was Lakshan. She goes to take the path. Meanwhile, at the same time at Kian's house, Kian is throwing a fuss asking Lakshan to give his bed back to him. Lakshan tells him to shut up and just sleep. Kian asks him why did he come to his house where there is only one bed. The morning begins as Aloza wakes up. She stretches before she lays down again as she mentions that she thinks it is colder because it is in the north. She looks for the map as she questions if Ruhan is the nearest bank branch. She is aware that 20,000 gold is remaining from the 100,000 her mother left. She ponders that she heard on the way here that the bank has hired a lot of mercenaries to protect it. The border that Sun crossed was also blocked with magic through the war will not be any better. She thinks that she will be able to pick up the money in a year. She is aware that 20,000 gold means 10 years of money to live in abundance. If she finds the money, she will have to give Lakshan a reward. She is aware that she cannot be mean to her life savior. She wonders how much should she give to him? She decides to change her clothes first and eat breakfast. As she changes her clothes, she wonders if there is any mirror. She looks around the room trying to find her, but she realizes there is nothing. Her eyes sets on something as she picks it up and notices it is a sketch of Lakshan with a woman. She wonders who is this woman. She is aware that he never told her that he was dating someone, but then she realizes that he did not need to tell her as all they have is just a marriage contract. She finds a mole on his face as she realizes it is not Lakshan. Lakshan asks her from outside the room if she is awake. She responds that she is awake as she gets startled. He questions if she slept well and tells her that it suits her well. She is confused before he points at her clothes, mentioning that those clothes suits her well. It looks like a skirt, but it is actually pants because it is sewn inside. She tells him that northern clothes are really comfortable, and she can put a lot of things in her pocket as well. She shows him the drawing she found in the drawer while looking for the mirror. She apologizes to him, mentioning that she looked at it without his permission. She tells him that it is a fine drawing and his expressions are well drawn. He seems surprised seeing the drawing as he tells her that this is not him. She questions if that is really the case, as well as telling him that it looks just like him. Cheap wonder. So that means it is not Lakshan's girlfriend? She finds it relieving before she suddenly wonders what is she relieved about. He tells her that it has been a long time since he saw this picture too. The person who resembles Lakshan is his father, and the woman beside him is his mother. He ponders that he remembers his father burned all of his mother's portrait and guesses that his father could not burn this one. He thanks her as she seems confused about it. He tells her that if she did not find this, it would be in the drawer forever. and its existence would be forgotten. She tells him that she came across it by chance too. She ponders that she mistook her for his girlfriend. He ponders that he said she is his mother to her without realizing it. They both think that it will be all right. She asks him where is his parents as she is unable to see them. He responds that both of his parents are dead. She apologizes to him for asking. He tells her that there's nothing to be sorry about. He tells her that they should eat breakfast quickly and go see the house. She asks him how about a simple vegetable soup for breakfast? He responds that sounds delicious, and then he will go and get some water. He asks her that they should choose a good house from the empty houses, and they can move if the owner comes back. She responds that would be amazing, as well as asking if it would be all right if they do not pay. He tells her that his friend must pay her as a house quickly turns into a deserted one if no one lives there. She responds that it is true. She ponders that the hut she used to live in was a ruined house at first, by sweeping, cleaning, and organizing every day, and it's startled to feel like a habitable place. She ponders that actually she likes Lakshan's house, so she wants to fix it first. She is aware that she should not be greedy though. He asks if they should go and find a house now. She responds all right. She ponders that they should not do any more harm as she expresses that the weather is so nice. He wonders if his house is uncomfortable as he expects it to be. He calls out to her and asks her if she has any requirements for the house that she wants. She tells him that she wants the kitchen to be big, and there should be an oven too. He asks her if there is anything else that she would also like in the new house. She tells him that she also wants a well in the backyard. She wishes that it is close to Lakshan's house. He thinks about it and realizes that it is Cheyenne house. It also saw that it is his friend's house and it will be easier to talk with the landlord comes back. He suddenly becomes surprised as he notices some footsteps, realizing that someone already went inside. He has no idea who it is as he tells her to wait for a second and checks the footprints. He realizes this footprints is of Cheyenne. Cheyenne suddenly opens the door and calls out to Aloes. Lakshan asks him what is he doing here? He responds that he did not have anything to do, so he was repairing the other houses. Lakshan asks if he means he was repairing Cheyenne's house. He tells them that they are not even that close. He responds that he can still do it even if they are not close. Cheyenne asks if Aloes would like to take a look inside, mentioning that he thinks that it looks good inside there, making Lakshan frustrated. Lakshan tells her that Cheyenne has a great personality and likes to organize things. The house was always clean and there's even an oven in the kitchen. Aloes ponders that Lakshan's kitchen is a little bigger. She wonders if it would be okay to use alone. He tells her that he thinks this one is the bedroom. As he opens it, he is stunned to find the wall broken, questioning what is even wrong with the wall. Lakshan and Aloes are speechless as Cheyenne breaks it down that this is what he was trying to repair. He tells them that they cannot sleep here, the hole is this big. He tells Aloes that he does not think this is the right one. Lakshan thinks that the hole looks recent and wonders what is Cheyenne up to. Lakshan bumps in as he tells Aloes to go next door as it will be all right there. Cheyenne blushes as he thinks that this is a chance to get a girlfriend for Lakshan. He thinks that if it is about a girl, then he knows how to make him suffer. Flashback, girls would try to hit on him. Even once a girl told him that she would want him to live with her when he grows up. Cheyenne ponders that even on the battlefield it was a mess. The girl grabbed both his hands and asked him to be her partner. An other girl ran after him stating that he was her partner, but all he could do was run for his dear life as he did not want to be anyone's partner. Cheyenne asked him if there was anyone that he liked, but he responded not at all. Cheyenne stated that at this rate he was going to die without a partner. Lakshan responded that he did not need a partner as Cheyenne questioned what. Lakshan responded that he is tired and he will never get one. Cheyenne sighed as he found Lakshan a poor guy, and so Cheyenne almost gave up until Lakshan introduced Aloes. He mentioned that as she's an acquaintance, daughter, and she had nowhere to go. He observed them both and saw them smiling so beautifully. He knew that this was going to work. He told all of his friends that there is something that they must do for Lakshan. He pondered that even if this was not going to work, he would make it work. In another house, the roof is broken. Aloes mentions that the war must have been serious as there is no decent home. Lakshan knows about it as he calls his friends punks. Cheyenne sighs and tells them they have yet to find a suitable place. He recommends why doesn't Aloes stay with Lakshan. Lakshan freaks out and curses, thinking he's trying to do whatever he can to get them together. He contemplates revealing the truth and letting them know that he and Aloes are legally married and they should stop being nosy. But he is aware that if he did, that they will bother her even more. He groans, thinking she will be leaving after a year after all. Aloes' eyes light up as she spots something. emitting a surprised squeal before kneeling down and excitedly informing them that it's basil she's found. She then wonders how there can be so much basil growing on this path. Lakshan informs her that this is Anand's farm. It's overrun with weeds now, but it used to be his friend's farm. He further reveals he did grow grain, but he was also interested in special plants and planted a variety of seedlings, including different herbs. He thinks a few of them are still growing. She smiles in excitement, acknowledging he is right when she notices there are other herbs here as well. She then notices a house nearby and asks Lakshan, "What's that building over there?" Lakshan looks at it and mutters that it looks like a warehouse and there's probably some farming equipment inside. Suddenly, other people scream Kian and Lakshan's names, then hastily chase after them. It's Ethan, Rakman, and Darus. Aloes greets them with a smile. They excitedly ask what's for lunch today, hoping for meat. Ethan chirps he is fine with anything as long as there are loads of it. She tells them today's lunch is basil pesto pasta. Basil pesto is a sauce made by combining basil, garlic, pine nuts, oil, and grated cheese. She reveals she saw a lot of pasta stored in the pantry. In an instant, their moods plummet, revealing the disappointment etched upon their faces. Observing the shift in their demeanor, Aloes becomes anxious and tentatively asks, "What is it?" Ethan blurts it's a basil plant as if it is not obvious. He adds eating leafy stuff won't give them the strength they need. However, she brightens their spirits with a warm smile, announcing that she's going to grill some meat and potatoes, instantly lifting their moods. They ask, "Really? Is she really going to make all of that?" However, Lakshan intervenes, delivering a light whack to their heads and sternly warning them to eat whatever they're served. Aloes startles and pleads with him not to do that. Before Ethan can retaliate, she swiftly intervenes, shielding him with her body and urging him not to hit him. Ethan looks dumbfounded, reminding her that he started it. Her face twists in worry as she pleads with him not to hurt him because he is a weak man. They all look at her dumbfounded, unable to comprehend what she just said. She thinks she knew right from the start that Lakshan was frail, and he's the most feeble-looking one here. She then changes the topic abruptly, asking them to lend her a hand as she needs them to help her pick all of these basil leaves. But they all wonder, what on earth has their chief done? She cautiously plucks the leaves of basil, warning them that they can die if they pick off all the leaves at once, so they should take the bigger ones and not touch the others, as that way they can pick more after they have grown again. She tells Ethan, Rakman, and Darus to fill this bag with basic leaves and for Can and Caden to follow her. Lakshan asks Aloes what are the other ingredients that need to be prepared. She replies they need to slice the potatoes and onions and then boil the pasta. He tells her they can help her with the simpler tasks, and he is sure those guys can prepare some potatoes and onions. The guys scream in union, of course they can, and ask her to leave it to them. She smiles at them, telling them it would be great. She tells Kian that she will leave the potatoes to him and Kugan can do the onions. Kian asks, isn't it difficult making everything from scratch? He tells the merchants sell pre-made ingredients as well, so she doesn't need to do everything herself. He adds they never order any because they don't know how to use them. But if she wants, he can order some for her. She assures him that it's oak. It's a lot tastier and cheaper to use fresh basil leaves, and they need to save as much money as they can. She says if it can be grown, then it will be growing here. He asks, but who is going to do that? She raises her hand and replies she will. She reveals to them she used to have her own garden. It was a small one though. Speaking of which, she asks them if she can borrow this plot of land. Lakshan says no problem, Anand hasn't returned yet. He then asks Kian, he's in charge of ordering the groceries, right? After his nod, he says he would like to take a look at the list. There are things he wants to add and things to take out too. Aloes says she would like to know the price of everything. He says he doesn't know what the prices are, but then is reminded of the purchases receipts and offers to bring it to her. After she tells him she appreciates it, he dashes off to bring it. Aloes then diverts her attention to Lakshan, asking him if he thinks they could sell their products to the merchants. He questions if she wants to sell the excess. She smiles at him and says yes, maybe it's her mother's influence, but it would be wonderful if they could make some money. He states that is true and tells her he will ask Kian about it later. Thinking of the devil, and the devil rushes back, Kian shouts at the top of his lungs that he has found them. He hands over the purchase receipts to her. After thanking him, she rustles through them. He rubs the back of his head, claiming it was good of him to keep them. How he can be really detail-oriented. While Aloes' mouth drops open as she thinks she has never seen such awful receipts in her life. She thinks a receipt should have the quantity of goods along with the prices, but it doesn't even list the details of the item or their prices. He says he didn't even want to give this to him, he just barely managed to get it from him. She tells him the prices here in the north may have gone up, but still this is outrageous. She believes 3 gold would have been more than enough for everything here and literally 5 gold for just delivery. Kayan scratches the side of his head anxiously as he explains that they said the delivery fees are high because they need to go around the mountains to reach them. She questions are cargo wagons expensive here. Lakshan explains that the villages are all far apart from each other, so everyone has one. When she asks if he does too, he nods and says he did, but someone must have used it when they fled because he can't seem to find it. She asks him how much does one cost. He states a small wagon costs 50 gold, but a big one can be more than 100. She is shaking in anger as she realizes the merchant charges 1/10 of the price of a wagon for a mere delivery fee. He's overcharging them because they don't know any better. She then questions Kayan when is the merchant's next visit. He states he comes once a week, so tomorrow. That's good, she replies and then asks, does he mind if she orders the groceries from now on? He laughs because why would he mind? That would help him a lot. He says he has been buying whatever he recommended to him, so when there were leftover ingredients, he didn't know what to do with them. He then hands over to her a money bag, saying everyone adds 5 gold a week, so there should be about 40 left. She is shocked and says 5, because 1 is more than enough. He questions really? Because they are fine with paying that much. He assures her that she doesn't need to contribute any money. She inquires why not. He explains to her that they talked about it yesterday and agreed that it's pretty hard for her to cook all of their meals every day. She thinks that's true. He informs her so instead of asking her to add to the grocery fund, they would like to pay her 10 gold weekly for her services. She gasps and says what? And assures them it's okay. She offered to cook because she enjoys it. Lakshan steps in and tells her no, this is something they requested of her. They asked her to make lunch for them, so it's only right to pay her for it. He further adds he knows she enjoys cooking, but she's only human and there will be days that she doesn't want to do it. She thinks it must come from being a mercenary, but Lakshan is so precise when it comes to compensation. They believe if she doesn't get paid, she will end up hating something she used to love doing. Lakshan says, and they wouldn't want that to happen. He also adds that she has to rest on the weekends, otherwise she will get sick. He also requires her to let them know in advance if she's going to be away doing something. She whispers to him, aren't these conditions too good toward her? Lakshan then raises a list and tells her to look at everything those pigs wrote down. They actually came up with a lot of dishes they want to eat. Kian says she doesn't understand how happy they are that she has offered to cook for them. She smiles shyly, saying, wow, this is quite a responsibility she has taken on. Later in the kitchen, Kian and Kugan both help her wash the potatoes and boil them well. She tells Lakshan she needs to borrow his hands and tells him to squeeze the boiled basil leaves. She then looks at the list of food they want to eat and notices Lakshan's name is not written on the list. She asks him about it, but he assures her she doesn't need to worry about him as he is sure it's a lot of work just dealing with them. He doesn't want to add any pressure, but she doesn't feel pleased about it because she wants to make him something he likes too. He smiles at her to lighten the mood and says it's ok and blurts he's done and asks what's next. Her eyes twinkle as she says perfect now and then instructs to mix together the basil leaves, pine nuts, and olive oil. He rattles the handle. She encourages him to do it a bit harder and quickly. He obeys and she keeps encouraging him, cheering him on saying that's it, he's doing well. She says she will finally grate some cheese, but he looks rather concerned, pondering this is too much work for her. It would be better to just buy it at the market in a bigger village. She announces the basil pesto is ready. She delicately lifts the spoon brimming with the aromatic sauce, extending it towards him, inviting him to taste it. He munches it and gasps in shock, telling her it's delicious. He grabs the bottle while admitting this tastes totally different from what he had at restaurants and their pesto wasn't as fragrant and the oil actually had a rancid flavor. She says it must have been old. That's what pesto tastes like if they leave it in the storage for a long time. He takes another big bite. She snatches it from him, telling him to stop eating. But she's glad he likes it. She declares she will make something that will make this taste even better. He cannot believe it can be better than it already is now. The table is filled with delicious food, including the pesto pasta. As the guys come in, they exclaim it smells amazing. It smells like some restaurant in the capital. She beams at them and tells them to go wash their hands. In a matter of a short time, only empty plates remain on the table, signaling that every morsel of food has been thoroughly enjoyed and savored. The guys' faces lit up with satisfaction and delight as they state that was delicious, and express their gratitude for the meal. Lakshan pours some tea for her and shouts at them that if they're done eating, they should go do the dishes. As they're washing the dishes, they think they should clean the rest of the kitchen too, and soon the tasks are being divided among the men. Kayan thinks they used to be so weak since they only ate boiled potatoes all the time. He then turns his attention to Eloise, revealing to her that before her these rascals never had energy and were always so silent. Just yesterday, they talked about what they wanted to eat while reminiscing about the past. His eyes sparkle as he says this is all thanks to her amazing food. Dramatically, he offers her his hand and asks if she will marry him. Lakshan thinks he's only saying that because he doesn't take marriage seriously as a northerner, but being from the empire, it might be really important for Eloise. Eloise jokes that if he picks the rest of the basil, she will think about it. He joins in her joke and quips, that sounds like a challenge to him. Lakshan stands there uncomfortably and wonders maybe he's the one who did not take marriage seriously. He did jump into this right away, saying documents were important to northerners. He wonders if it is his fault that she thinks northerners are not serious about marriage. He snaps out of his thoughts when Kian asks what's wrong. He teases him asking if he suddenly feels the urge to go pick basil. An angry Lakshan flings him from the kitchen with the excuse to bring some wooden planks from his house. Eloise asks what does he need wooden planks for? Is he going to repair something? He explains he was thinking of making a support for her feet. She seems to be struggling to cook properly because the counters are so high. However, she refuses to have one, saying he doesn't need to make her one while reminding him she will be leaving soon anyway, so she doesn't need it. She thinks should have gone house hunting instead of cleaning stupid. She then remembers the last house they saw today looked quite nice. Worry and anxiousness etched across his face. He warns her that she needs to be careful when choosing a house to live in, because if she rushes things and ends up having to move again, that would be an even bigger hassle. He assures her not to worry about staying here at his place for a while. He offers, or perhaps they could continue to, but stops himself in time. She inquires continue to what? His face reddens as he tries to tell her, but before he can, Kayan bursts through the door announcing he is back. She thinks he did not ask her to keep living here with him, while he wonders how could he ask her that. Later he's smashing the woods when she asks him where Kayan lies. Alarm courses through him, his face tightening with displeasure as he questions why does she want to know that. She looks at him like it is obvious. She asks him why else, obviously because he is staying there. If something happens then, she would know where to find him. He feels relieved when he realizes she's asking to look for him. She also wants to know the location of where the rest of the men live too, as that way she can drop by if she makes any food. But he tells her that won't be necessary. He is sure they will come looking for her here. He grins, thinking to himself she wants to come see him, not Kian. He ends up making the wooden support for her and questions what does she think. Does she like it? She smiles and tells him it's perfect. She thinks if she kept living here, there would be no need to make a new one, but then realizing where her thoughts are heading to, she reminds herself she shouldn't raise her hopes for nothing. Beaming, she expresses her gratitude to him. He informs her he will get going now and tells her to make sure she locks the door tightly. He questions. She has the pipe he gave her, right? She shows him her necklace and says yes, it is attached to her necklace. They wave at each other at the door, saying they will meet tomorrow. But once the door shuts, her mood drops because now that everyone's gone, it's a bit scary being alone. She ascends the stairs carefully and wishes Lakshan stayed here with her. The merchant arrives the next day, his face betraying greed with a smirk as he thinks, time for another hefty payday. Kian, Eloise, and Lakshan await him with their arms crossed. With a fake smile on her face, Eloise introduces herself. He has his back on her as he greets her and says he needs to quickly unload and leave, so they should give him the payment first. Kian, however, lets him know from now on Eloise will be placing the orders and taking care of the payment, so he should talk to her. Confused, he repeats this lady is going to be in charge. The misogynist asks if a young lady like her can tell what products are good and passes her the potatoes stored in the sack. She thinks she knew it and grabs the sack, tossing it onto the floor, causing it to burst open and spill potatoes all over the ground. He kneels and starts gathering his potatoes, asking what is she doing. She lets him know they won't be buying these potatoes. Truthfully, they are not worth paying money for. He shouts at her what does she mean. She raises the potato in her hand with the intention to show it to him and say, see this, they're not only rotten, but they're starting to sprout, believing potatoes like these shouldn't be sold at all. She further adds this can make people sick, and since they are moldy, They are not even useful as seed potatoes. He is surprised she can tell what product is bad. He tries to defend himself by muttering he did not sell things like this from the start. Kyan, who is watching it all, whispers to Lakshan she is so charming. He then blames his customers by saying who would not take advantage of a customer who doesn't even check the quality and pays whatever amount he tells him. He groans, thinking he thought he could get with it for a while. Suddenly he changes his attitude and lies that he must have brought the wrong ones and he won't charge her for this so she can just have them. She tells him to take them back. They will just end up as trash here, and says these are the receipts that cover up until last week. But there are many issues too. She reads the receipt and tells him it says there he sold them saffron in the past. She shows him a small bottle and says, well, she took a look in the storage room, and is he saying that this is saffron? She recalls her mother telling that when soaked in water, real saffron turns out to be a beautiful golden color, but fake saffron turns out to be a dark reddish color. That's because very strong dye is used to create the redness, and because it's so easy to discern fake saffron from real saffron, merchants selling fake saffron often mix in the dyed threads with real ones. So when she inspected the saffrons yesterday, it all turned out to be fake. The threads were not even infused with a scent. She even scolded Kyan that why did he buy this in the first place? He explained to her that everyone was really worn out after the war ended, and he heard that drinking saffron-infused tea could help chase away bad memories attached to the war, and that it also helped with sleep. That is why he bought it, but to think that it was fake. He looked guilty, but she assured him that it wasn't his fault. They should be blaming the person who sold it to him. Back in the present, she inquires did he know that this entire bottle is fake? He flinches and says what does she mean by fake? He claims he has been doing business in this area for decades. Does she really think he would sell fake saffron? She says if he's a merchant, he should know how to tell the difference between the two. She says at least some people mix in fake threads. But this is a complete sham. Does he have a conscience? He realizes he needs to get out of here and shouts that he won't take this insult any longer. He snatches the bottle from her hand, saying since she insists that they're not real, he will take the bottle back and tosses the money to her. He lies that he went through the trouble of sourcing this from a far-off place, and she has the nerve to tell him it's fake. He is freaked out inside, but manages to keep the scowl on his face as he says he won't come here anymore with goods so they should fend for themselves. As he leaves, he screams after him to stop. She's not done talking. Kyan and Lakshan glance at each other, and with a nod, Lakshan says today's one of those days he feels like taking him on a special assignment. Kyan smirks and says he knows what that means. He wouldn't mind taking a run either. They run after the man. Eventually, the man has been tied. While Lowe's screams at him that she simply won't tolerate this and questions who's the lord of this area. She will need to repeat this man to the authorities. The man begs her to not do anything like that. He tells her this territory is owned by Lord Harkin, and he doesn't want to upset him. She crosses her arms and seems to think about it, and then tosses a paper on the floor telling him to sign it. When he reads, it is written that he acknowledges there have been issues with the goods he has supplied so far, and in order to compensate, he will deliver quality goods that Lowe's wants once a week for the next year. She tells him this is the result of a scam. While the guys appreciate her for her work and Kyan's stomach growls, prompting him to ask what's for lunch today. She knows he and Lakshan have been busy since the morning, so she decides to make tomato salad using the basil they all picked yesterday and steak with mushroom sauce. Lakshan with a surprised look questions if she is really intending to pick this one. He questions her about the hole in the bedroom wall. She tells him that she'll use another room that doesn't have the hole, stating that there is a study she found with a small bedroom inside, and it's perfect for her height too. Lakshan sweats as he ponders that she can just keep staying at his house, and he will sleep in the living room. She seems very excited as she mentions that they should move her stuff today. Lakshan is dumbfounded as Kyan wishes for him to not give up. Lakshan sighs as he mentions sure, causing Kyan to internally scream. Lakshan tells her that once they're done moving they can go and greet the farm people, stating that it's only a few chickens and sheep for now. He states that they won't have trouble sourcing eggs or milk from now on. Kyan trembles as Lowe's excitedly states that as great as being able to source dairy products from nearby is the best. Kyan finds both of them so clueless and decides to give up. Lakshan tells her all right and mentions that he and Kyan will go and get rest of her things, and in the meantime she can go and take a look around. She thanks him as she is filled with excitement, mentioning that it's time to check out Anand's farm. She mentions that he might have herbs that they don't, Suddenly something passes down her as she becomes stunned, wondering what was that. She leans in, realizing that it was pretty big. She looks around as she mentions that it ran away when it saw her, so it must not be dangerous. She sweats as she realizes that it scared her. She sits down to collect some herbs because she's anxious as she notices that someone is staring at her. She remembers Lakshan's words when he said that the animals here aren't particularly dangerous. She grabs onto a rock as she gulps and glances around. She steps forward, positioning to attack as she asks, "Who is this?" A woman appears and flinches, asking her to not throw it. Aloes lowers her arm as she asks the woman about her identity. The woman introduces herself as Lisa and mentions that she lives on the farm at the end of the village. She asks if she's Aloes. Aloes questions if Lisa knows who she is. Lisa responds that Qian came by their farm this morning and asked her to say hello to her if they ever ran into each other. Lisa continues that she thought Aloes might be the person he was talking about as she followed her then. Aloes throws away the stone as she nervously states that she was just startled because she sensed she was being followed. She asks Lisa how can she help her. Questioning isn't Lisa's farm at the opposite end of the village. Lisa seems frustrating as she states that she came here to have a word with Qian. When he came this morning, he asked for some eggs, so she told him to take them. But then he left the coop door open and now 3 of her chickens are gone. She questions in anger what is he going to do about her chickens. She places her hand on Loz's shoulder and mentions they should go. They leave as the plate rustles and a being stares at them. Lisa smacks Qian as Qian is upset. He mentions that it wasn't him as he definitely remembers closing it. She continues to slap him as she questions who could it be. She states that he is the one who went inside the coop this morning. Lakshan asks of all things how could he forget to close the door. Qian complains that it really wasn't him and finds it really frustrating. Qian bows to Lisa as he apologizes to her and mentions that he will pay for the chickens. She responds that is not the issue. She angrily responds that she doesn't want his money and asks him to go to Deva Cattle Market and get her new chickens. She states that she wants healthy hens and 6 of them. He asks her why 6 when she only lost 3. Qian cries as he asks her to stop hitting him. She also tells him while he is at the market he should get her 2 wolf dogs if they have any, as she wants puppies. Qian tells her that she is taking advantage of him. Lakshan and Aloes both laugh as they mention that they should let Qian figure out. Aloes asks Lakshan if there is such a thing as a wolf dog. She is told that they are dogs raised on northern farms. They are a cross between a dog and a gray wolf. They're a bit hard to tame, but once you have their loyalty it lasts forever. Aloes thinks maybe she should raise one herself. She ponders if she did. She thinks she wouldn't feel scared at night even if she's all alone. Lisa steps in and informs her that they are really difficult to handle. That is why they must get them when they are young, as when they are older it is very hard to teach them. Lisa continues as she mentions that she has had experience raising them ever since she was a little girl, and for most people they run off while being tamed. Lisa waves her goodbye as Aloes waves back. Lakshan asks her if she likes dogs. Aloes responds that she likes all animals, but she is not sure she'd do a good job raising any since she has never done it before. She knows if she does end up doing it, she will have to start with an animal that is easy to handle. She calls out to Lakshan and asks if he is busy. He tells her no and asks her why. He asks if she needs his help with something else. She responds no, but mentions that she'll like to go to Anand's warehouse. Lakshan mentions all right and asks her if she would like to go now. She responds sure as she mentions that she should just put this in her room. She tells him that she'll be right back. She notices the door is open as she wonders if she left the door open. She slightly steps in and questions if someone is in here. There's no sound as she wonders if she forgot to close the door. She realizes that Lakshan told her to make sure that she shuts it and knows that she should be more careful. She decides to just go quickly and get her bag. Lakshan shows her Anand's warehouse and she becomes really excited as she mentions that those are rosemary and they're perfect for getting rid of that unique smell that meat has. She begins to gather them as she tells Lakshan that Daruz told her he'd catch some fish for her. So it's all great for getting rid of the smell of freshwater fish. Lakshan removes the door before Aloes asks if he is sure that he can remove the door like that. He responds that he'll fix it when Anand returns and asks her to come on in. She stares at him as she ponders that Lakshan is strong too. She steps in as she is filled with astonishment, realizing that this is more like a greenhouse than a warehouse. She becomes really excited as she notices something, and she reaches for it. The names of herbs are written, which are rosemary, chervil, fennel, etc. She notices how they're the name of herbs as she's surprised finding seeds. She cannot believe all of these are seeds. Lakshan calls out to her and tell her that there are tubers as well. She calls out to him and asks him about Anand's job. Lakshan nervously responds that he was a unique person and an eccentric person who spent more time in his garden than he did at home. He continues that he doesn't know how, but he used to make strange things. She questions what strange things, such as tomatoes would grow on the stem while potatoes grow on the roots of the same plant. She finds it unbelievable as she asks him if that is even possible. Lakshan responds yes, as he had that they have been crafted. He states that means, but they ended up throwing more tomatoes and potatoes because they did not taste good. She is shocked as she ponders. That is what a waste. Lakshan goes ahead and continues that he occasionally made useful things as well. For example, wheat that did not get knocked on easily even in storms or fall victim to locusts. Anand's form was often the only one that made it out unscathed. That is why there were rumors that he learned magic from mages, which was not true though. Aloes mentions that was a pioneer, though in the field of seed improvement. He smiles with her as he ponders that his image has suddenly improved. Improving seeds is the kind of research that requires a lot of money and people. So he heard there was very little progress made, even in the north, but they knew that there was someone in the northern countryside that carried out in all kinds of experiments. He calls out to her and questions if there's anything that she needs from here. She tells him that she needs farming tools as she was actually planning on buying all of these. But this is great. She states that if they are not sharp enough, she will ask Kian to freshen them up. She finds the sickle, and that hoe mentioning that she will take them both. She states as for the seats and tubers, she remembers that she phoned them before, but the man informed her that they cannot be sold. She asked him if he mind if she takes them, so he told her no, she can go ahead. She's aware that if she cut off the moldy parts and plant them, she might be able to eat them later. She planted the mentions that she will be at the tomatoes soon. She wishes for them to grow just as well as the tomatoes have. She is shocked to find them withering. She has no idea what happened, as she is aware that even if the seeds are gathered from healthy plants, the germination rate will decrease and they will slowly start getting moldy or even rot after 2 to 3 years. And tubers that already want could completely ruin an entire garden. She ponders that she was able to find out the reason after reading through many books, but in the end she had to give up on that garden and cultivate a new one. She seems determined as she ponders that she will make sure to grow this valuable seeds before they rot. She pulls her bag, which is heavy as hell before Lakshan, smiles and asks her to put it down. She tells him that she can carry it all, and also mentions that when Anand returns she's going to repay him. He grabs the bag from her as he asks her why she's working so hard. She flinches as she questions, what does he mean? He tells her that she's paying too much attention on cooking and not farming, as he thought she was just doing it as a hobby. But he states it looks like she's more passionate about it than expected. She mentions that she's doing it because she wants to take care of the village. He asks her what does she mean by that. She stared straight. She saw several villages on their way here, and it was quite easy to tell whether they were abandoned or not. He asks her how soon, as she tells him that even if a village has run-down houses or no shop, if people are living there, they all have a well-kept garden. She ponders that she knows she could just spend the year leisurely, which she lives here, and she would like to help improve it in any little way she can. And if an Elden village can take care of its gardens, then travelers just like them who are passing through can, then maybe she wouldn't have to leave either. She tells him that they will know that people actually live here. She feels a bit awkward as she states that is what she was thinking. But if he does not like it, then he should tell her, because she will try to do it more discreetly. He questions, so not doing it all is not one of the options. He tells her that she knows doing it discreetly will most likely be possible, as he grins. He leans over as he places his hand around her face, mentioning because he will always be watching her. All of them are going to Lakshan's place, as one of them mentions that she asked them to come to his place at this hour, wondering what is going on. The other states, whatever the reason is, he is sure that there will be food. As she said, there is so much to produce that they will be busy eating for a long time. Kian tells him that he's fine with the leftovers from lunch, as they were very tasty. He sniffs as he wonders what is this savory smell. All of them rushes inside as she asks them to wash their hands first. They question what is this, as she tells them it is a snack from the south, made by coating a cast iron pan with butter, adding dried corn kernels, salt, and then frying it. Kian questions. This is what she gets if she fried dried corn. The other one mentions that he prefers corn porridge. They are aware that it will be good since she made it. They all grab a bite and munches down. The minute the fluffy corn touches your tongue, it melts in your mouth as the taste of the perfect amount of saltiness with the savory, rich butter that is slightly charred spreads throughout. Before you know, the taste vanishes. Kian is shocked as he mentions it is so good, and asks the others to leave some for him. The plate is already empty as she asks them if they would like some more. All of them agree as she tells them that she will make it even better this time. Kian asks her is that even possible that she can make it better than just what they ate. She goes back to continue to make it as Lakshan comes to her and asks her what is she making. She questions. What does he think would happen if he adds something yummy to something else that is delicious? Yusha grins as she pours something. He tells her he will help her and asks her if he just makes it like this. She tells him yes and asks him to start it quickly to the caramel, so the caramel is evenly coated. She tells him now she will roast it slightly on low heat, and he mentions that smells so good that waiting is torture. She states that it is almost done and asks if he wants to try. She mentions that it is her first time making this, so she's not sure what it will taste like. He takes a bite as it becomes awkward because she ends up touching his lips. He mentions it is really good. He states that it is good as she realizes that she touched his lips, causing her heart to beat really fast. She glances at him as he glances at her back before Kian appears, questioning if it is still not ready yet. Lakshan gets startled as so does Aloz. She mentions that it is done and it is coming. They are already done with it. As he mentions, it is sweet and salty and savory. They are aware that was very delicious as she tells them that now they have used all the old corn. Lakshan asks her if this is what this word before she mentions the corn was not so old that they could not eat it. But she did not think it would taste good if she used it for something else. She takes out something as she asks everyone to not look at this. This is a 1-year plan. Goals to rebuild Eden Village. The knight appears as one of them question. So what she's saying is that they need to take in people who are not originally from this village, right? She responds yes. That is why she asked all of them to gather. Lakshan also tries to tell them what their village needs the most. Right now is not land or money, but people. He states that they cannot do nothing and keep waiting for the original inhabitants to return. All of them are quiet for a while before Darius speaks up and mentions that he is against it. Aloz mentions that she's aware that the environment of a small village like this depends heavily on who their neighbors are, but she's not saying that they should accept just anyone. Darius states that he still does not like it, and he rises up mentioning that he will not stop her if that is what she wants, but he will not be welcoming any new people. He slams the door shut as he leaves. They are aware that he just blurted out a year's worth of talking all at once and left. One of them asks if Lakshan agrees with it. As he responds, yes, he does agree with it. Kian mentions that Daru is right as he is a bit worried about strangers coming to the village too, but if they were too concerned about that then they would not have been able to eat stuff like this as he munches more food which was Aloz's. Aloz is pleased as she ponders that honestly, she thought everyone was going to be against it but most of them are speaking in her favor. All of them informs her that they will be going now as she calls out to them and mentions if by any chance Darius does not come for lunch tomorrow, then tell him that she will personally deliver it to him. Kian smiles and tells her he got it. Lakshan calls out to her and tells her that she should go home too now. She tells him that if she leaves caramel lying on the floor like this, it would attract insects. She states that she is going to sweep the floor, so he should wash the pots. As that way they can finish quickly as he smiles, mentioning all right they both continue to do their work as he ponders that it has gotten late. Maybe he should just tell her to sleep here, and he can sleep on the sofa. Right then she calls out to him and thanks him for the help, mentioning that she will take the leftovers. He is filled with nervousness as he asks her to wait as he tells her he will walk her home. She thanks him for walking her home and tells him she will see him tomorrow. He wishes her a good night as she steps inside and thinks that she should get ready for bed now. As she decides to go upstairs and on the stairs she hears a sound as she flinches. Her expression turns into anxiousness as she begins to wonder what was that. It is silent as she wonders what should she do having no idea where the sound came from. She is aware that if she can call Lakshan, she knows he will come quickly towards her. She pauses for a while as she is aware there's a chance he might not be able to hear her. And what if he comes and it ends up not really being an issue? For example, she thinks that there is a chance that it could be a rat. She slowly steps and glances around questioning if someone is there. There is no footsteps or anything as it is all silent, causing her to be aware that there's no one here. She notices that the lid is fallen as she realizes it was the sound of the lid falling off, and she got scared for nothing. She knows she would have felt bad if she had called Lakshan over just for this. She ponders when she was living at the monastery in the woods, she had no problem walking around, even at night. Now that she has left that place, she wonders if she's scared of the dark. She begins to write something as she says that she will pay Shan back everything that she used when he returns. She's aware she needs to organize some things, and there is Lakshan and her. Then the 5 mercenaries, 6 people in Lisa's family, including herself and the villagers here and there who have returned. She knows, but everyone seemed to want to leave. Someone calls out to Lakshan as he turns around and greets Marie. She looks at Ilos and questions who is this as he responds that she is the daughter of a friend. Marie tells her that it is nice to meet her as Ilos responds that is the same with her. He asks her if she is back for good, but she responds that is what she was planning. But as they know, she has been a merchant all her life, but no one's growing any crops, and there's no one to buy them either, so she's thinking of moving to a big city nearby. She states that she also needs to think about her children's education, so she does not think that she can stay. Ilos, aware that she remembers, Lakshan looked disappointed, so she will need to try harder before more people leave the village. The number of villagers in Eldon village are now 32 people. They are working as she appears with food. Kian tells everyone that it is time for the snack. She made a quick potato pie for them. She tells them that the field almost looks entirely cultivated. They mention that Kugin did most of it. They mention that he must have really liked the cookies she made yesterday because he was working really hard as he continues to mooching down on food. She looks at them as she decides to make them all a delicious lunch. After a while, speaking of lunch, she realizes it is almost time for something as her mood suddenly becomes a bit low, and Lakshan notices her and calls out to her as he questions what is wrong. She asks him, what does he mean as he tells her that she looked upset. She states that it is because she's fine, but she is worried that he might not come for lunch. Kian states then he will eat Darusa's share of food. Lakshan smacks him. Kian sniffles, questioning what was that for. Someone is running as it is Lisa. She has a worried expression on her face as she asks them to help her find her chickens. They wonder that she has lost them again. She states that the rooster that protects the rest of the chickens has disappeared. Kian pouts and asks her if she left the coop door open. She responds no, the latch was definitely closed, and the problem is that the thief did not leave any footprints. She looked all over the inside of the coop and could not find anything, so she wants to make an official request. She asks them to please help her find the thief who took her roster. Lakshan smirks as he calls out to her and asks her how much is the reward, and she tells them that it is unlimited eggs from her farm for a month, which means that they can have as many eggs as they want from her farms for free, that too for a whole month. Alos's expression turns into determination as it seems that she is determined to find it. She ponders that they have to find it no matter what. Elos tells them that there is a special prize for the person who successfully completes Lisa's request. It will allow them to get free eggs from her for a month. She raises her finger as she is excited that she can get eggs every day for 1 month, and that way all of them will be able to enjoy a new egg dish that she has made. She is currently memorizing the top 30 tasty egg dishes in the empire. Lisa reminds her the first one to find the thief wins. Kian and Lakshan are having lunch. Kian mentions that he will go to the farm right away after lunch to do some investigating, making it sure that those eggs are his. Lakshan refuses and tells him that those eggs belong to him. Alos asks them who do they think stole the rooster. She mentions that a person who can open the latch, close it, and not leave any footprints, questioning if there is someone who can do that. Lakshan tells her that there is. He is talking about monsters as they are strange beings that the hybrids across the northern mountains use. They are usually used as a means of transportation or attack. Alos is stunned to know about them and questions, how could those be around here? She mentions that the hybrids all retreated across the northern mountains. Lakshan tells her that monsters are important possessions of the hybrids, so they will have taken back the ones they own. But they probably could not take the ones that ran away during war. She seems interested in them, as Lakshan realizes she's actually interested. Right then, Xian runs out of the door, stating that he will go and catch the monster. She calls out to him and asks him if he can give the basket to Darus. She is leaving before Lakshan calls out to her and tells her that he will take her home. She asks him, are they not going to Lisa's farm? He tells her that was his plan, but mentions that it could be dangerous for her because of the monster, so he thinks that she should go home. She becomes shocked as she tells him that she wants to see it too. She tries to assure him that she will be safe as she has him. His heart begins to race before he calls out to her, telling her that it is hard enough for him to protect himself, and that even if she begs, he will not take her. She turns around in annoyance. She steps with him and tells him that if he thinks it is dangerous, he should make sure to run away. He tells her all right as he ponders that she really seems to think that he's a mercenary only in name. He ponders maybe that is a good thing. He asks her to get some rest, and if she's scared then she can blow the whistle. She tells him that she does not think that will be necessary. Lakshan goes to the farm as he sees that, just like Lisa said, there are not any footprints here besides hers, not even the chicken footprints. He noticed some marks on the lock as he wonders if these are claw marks. He thinks that the fact that it was able to lock the latch again means it is an intelligent being. But he wonders, why would it? Thinking that it wants to protect the chickens even though it is taking and eating them. Kayan mentions that he got in trouble last time for not locking the good door, and maybe the same thing was responsible for that too. He stares angrily at Lisa as she flinches. Lisa ponders that she has lost a total of 3 chickens. She tells him that she will give free eggs for 3 months. He tells her all right as they embark to find the chickens. Right then, Lakshan finds one chicken, realizing the thing buried the bones after it was done eating, and he wonders what kind of monster it is. He's aware that one thing is for certain, that this being is smart and strong. Meanwhile, Aloes wakes up as she realizes that she did not even have dinner and just fell asleep. Right then she yawns and ponders that she thinks there are still some corn crackers left and decides to eat them. She wonders if Lakshan has found the monster. As she steps down the stairs, she hears a munching sound and realizes that something is eating her crackers. It turns around and 2 eyes stares at her. She becomes shocked as she goes to her room and closes the door. She wonders if it could be a monster. It begins to step towards her as she realizes that it is coming upstairs. It also begins to scratch the door, causing her to be really terrified. She decides to blow the whistle and call out to Lakshan. Right then, both Location and Chian hears the sound of the whistle. They realize this is the sound of Aloes' whistle. Lakshan becomes shocked as he rushes towards Aloes. He calls out her name as she shouts at him from the window. Telling him about the danger by the door, she tells him that it is trying to get away. She feels relieved that Lakshan is here. She ponders that it was so loud that it was heard over the mountain and wonders what exactly is this whistle. Lakshan instructs her to shut the windows, jump in bed, and stay under the blankets. He tells her to not come out until he comes to get her. She seems hesitant before she stares at him again as he looks at her with a cold expression, causing her to get chills. She pledges as she does, just as he says. He comes back to his senses and regrets as he remembers in the past when a man ran into him and told him to watch where he goes. He gave him the exact clear, and that man began to tremble and ask for forgiveness as he kneeled down. Lakshan questioned what is wrong with him as Chian asked him if he was not aware that his gaze is really frightening. When people's eyes meet his, they get goosebumps. He also states that it has been suffocating being next to him. The more people mercenaries kill in battles, the more they slip into madness. That is why the title Mercenary King is so revered. They have killed many enemies yet managed to stay alive. But even for Lakshan, it was difficult to be completely free of bloodlust. Once he even considered his own son an enemy. That is why Lakshan was especially cautious about the insanity he could potentially display as a mercenary. He was relieved that it had not manifested for some time. But he wonders now, what if Aloes becomes scared of him? He hears a shattering noise as he kicks the door open. He realizes that the monster went out toward the backyard. He pauses for a while thinking that he should leave Aloes alone. He turns around and thinks that others will soon arrive and that he should chase the monster since he is the closest to it and the man can take care of Aloes. He thinks of it again and decides to rush towards Aloes. He calls out to her as she opens the door. Right then she passes through him and runs away as he wonders if she's running away because she's afraid of him and if she is going to leave the village. He asks her to listen to him for a second as he rushes downstairs. She turns around and calls him a fool as she mentions that he should have gone after it. She throws a fist at him, mentioning that they could have captured it together, or at least found out what exactly it is. He seems stunned as she yells at him and tells him this is all because he tried to handle everything on his own. He is stunned to see that she isn't scared. He finds it a good thing before Aloes steps on a broken glass and hurts her feet. He asks her to not move. Right then, Chian also appears and calls out to them. Lakshan instructs Chian to go after the being and tells him that it went into the woods. Chian flinches as he mentions, of course. Lakshan bandages her and asks her if she is hurt anywhere else. She tells him that she thinks she is okay. She asks him what he is doing now as he tells her that he wants to check if she has been cut anywhere else. He questions again as she really is not in any pain, right? She tells him no, she is not. She ponders that her feet are dirty. He apologizes to her for scaring her earlier, telling her that she must have been frightened. She nods as he gets up and apologizes once again. He mentions that he was just worried. He tells her that her house is a mess, so she should sleep here today, and he will be downstairs, but she calls out to him. She tells him that she was scared. He once again apologizes to her and ponders that she's really mad at him. She clenches her fist as she asks him to sleep together. He is shocked as he asks her what did she just say. She tells him that she said she was scared. She begins to yell at him, telling him that she knows it is ridiculous to say she was scared at her age, but she was frightened when that creature was scratching against the door earlier. She asks him to come here and lie down next to her. He is confused as he thinks if she was not scared of him. He lies down next to her and tells her that he has not even changed yet, as she responds that she does not care. She becomes terrified again as she mentions maybe it wanted to eat her after finishing her snacks, and she really thought she was going to pass out when it came up to the second floor. He ponders that it is not surprising that she was scared. She asks him if he wants to share the blanket with her as he tells her he's all right. She turns towards him and questions what does he think it was. She asks him if it was the monster that attacked Lisa's coop. He tells her that for now, that is what he is thinking. He pats her and tells her to not worry as he promises that he will catch it. She hugs him as he blushes. She ponders that she has Lakshen beside her. She finds him warm and realizes that she is not alone. Lakshen continues to stay on guard as he rises up and steps out of the room. Kian calls out to him and asks about Aloz. He responds that Aloz is sleeping. Kian gives him a smirk, but Lakshen glares at him. Kian sits down and gets to the point, which is that the pursuit was a failure. He mentions that he followed it into the woods, but the trees were getting dense, and there were too many vines so he could not chase after it quickly enough. But he saw that it had wings. Lakshen glares at him and asks him if he is lounging around in this chair after he has failed. Kian becomes really overwhelmed and asks Lakshen to give him a break. He ran all the way here from the farm and asks Lakshen if he thinks it was easy to track it right away in the woods. He tells Lakshen that is something only he can do, stating that he did see its approximate size. He states that he also checked all the traces remaining in Aloz's place. From what he could see, the only damage done was the caramel cookies that were in the kitchen. Everything else was intact, and he is assuming that the chicken was not enough to fill it up. Lakshen states that it clearly sounds like it is a monster, and he's aware he will have to prepare some traps for it. And he knows that for the time being, he will need to stay here with Aloz as well. The day begins as they question if they should split up into teams for the search. One is Wood's team and the other is Farm team. Aloz notices a snare in Rachman's hands as he asks her if she knows what this is. She tells him that she has experience making various kinds of things. He mentions that he thinks he is the best out of everyone here when it comes to making traps, and that he will give her one of these as the monster might be in her area as well. She asks him if one throws this and then tighten it immediately. He tells her yes as she tells him if he wants to save the hide he needs to target the neck specifically, but then he can run into this problem. He tells her for that problem she should do this. They come to her house as Lakshen mentions they can start looking around here. She asks Lakshen if she can clean up now. He tells her yes. He checked all the traces that it left behind. She sweeps the floor as she realizes it really ate everything, thinking that the bean must be really hungry. She then thinks about it and realizes it was not just yesterday. She knows if the thing following her that day was the monster from last night. She becomes fearful. Lakshen asks if they should go into the woods now. They are searching in the woods as Lakshen notices that a branch is broken in a strange place. Aloz asks him what did he say, and he asks her if he can hold her by the waist. She tells him it does not matter but questions him why he grabs her and picks her up as he asks her if she's all right. She tells him yes and questions if she is not heavy. She asks him to just put her down. He jokes around about her saying she's heavy. She laughs too as Qian is done with them. He asks her to look carefully here, stating that the monster flew this way and caused the branch to snap, and the direction's consistent with that idea. He questions if she sees the broken branch above it. She tells him that he is right. It is snapped in a different direction compared to the one below. Qian tells him this means that the monster was escaping, but then decided to return to the house and that it is going after. Before Aloz asks if it is more sweet things, she then points at herself and asks if it's her. She gets down as she wonders if the monster is after her, causing her to get chills. She wonders why is it, thinking if it is because she looks tastier than the mercenaries. Qian asks her if she is all right. She tells him, yes, she is. She wonders if that must be it. After all, even with the chickens, the younger hens taste better. She might look like this to the monster. She is cooking food as she thinks if it is after her, then that make things easier. She decides to lure them with this smell. Qian and Lakshen have set the trap, and they are on standby outside in case the monster senses the trap. The leaves rustle as a being comes closer towards the house but gets trapped. Alose is listening to the sounds coming from outside as she wonders what is happening outside. Kian and Lakshan got it as Lakshan tells Alose to come out now. She picks something up as she thinks that the monster should be thankful it got captured outside, as if it had come inside all these traps would have caused it to die. She removes the tribe as she's aware it would have hurt badly. She runs out as she questions, "Where's the monster?" She looks at the cage as she questions, "Where's the monster?" As in the cage, it is only a puppy which is trembling in fear. She takes off the cloth covering it as she realizes it is not just a puppy. The puppy has wings on it. She questions, if this is a monster that captivates people with its cuteness, she finds it really adorable. Kian agrees with her. Lakshan is dumbfounded. She looks at Lakshan and questions, what does he do with captured monsters? He responds that they slice their throats and burn them. The puppy is startled as he cries. Right then, there is a huge sound as Lakshan mentions that the monster is right here. So what is that sound? Kian points at something as he mentions that is what is causing it. Alose becomes shocked as she looks at that and questions, what is that? It is a huge bird that has a chicken on its feet. Lakshan mentions that it is an evil beast. He mentions that monsters may look bizarre, but they are still beasts from this world. However, evil beasts are more powerful beings. They are not born naturally and come from another world. To be more precise, they are phenomena that appear when magic fails. Images draw and use energy that exists in another world. But if they use their magic the wrong way, they might draw in another living being instead of energy. Alose is shocked as she questions, what is an evil beast doing here? She mentions that she heard those things are created when mages do something incorrectly with their magic. Lakshan tells her that since it has a human head, it looks like it used to be a mage. She questions how do they catch it, realizing that Lisa's farm is in danger. Lakshan mentions that it is Oak if it is an evil creature, causing her to ask him what does he mean. He tells her that its very existence is wrong, and it goes against the rules of this world as well as the ones of the other world, and because it is a living being and not energy, it has a strong tendency to return. Alose is amazed as she tells him that he is very knowledgeable. He tells her that he learned it from a mage. He tells her that is why where an evil beast appears, a divine animal also appears. When an evil base grows enough of a presence, the divine animal appears where the evil beast is, gets rid of it, and then vanishes. That is why mages also call the divine animal the Punisher. Alose seems to be really excited as she questions, what does a divine animal look like? Lakshan tells her that he has never seen one himself, but he heard it has wings and a golden sheen that one does not see in evil beasts. Alose finds it marvelous to have golden sheen. Lakshan wonders, so was that thing responsible for the attack on the farm? He knows that it grew in size and they preyed on small animals. The reason it locked up the coop was so that it could eat again later. Realizing now it has lost most of its intelligence and reason as a human being, Alose asks him what do they do now with the monster. Right then, her attention turns towards the cage. As she is surprised, she calls out to Lakshan and tells him that the puppy is glowing. All of them are shocked as they realize that the puppy is the divine animal. The other party tries to catch it, but they are unable to, questioning how can one catch it by themselves. They are aware that the person who catches this gets an unlimited supply of Alose's egg dishes for 3 months. They are determined that no matter what happens, those eggs are theirs. Right then, Lakshan calls out to them asking everyone to get out of the way. One of them mentioned that they are here as Lakshan runs towards the monster with the divine animal. All of them are dumbfounded seeing a puppy. They cannot believe that it has wings as the puppy takes divine light out of its mouth and it attacks the beast, but the evil beast flies away. Production is really glad as he mentions this thing was the divine animal after all, and they will get rid of that evil beast in one go now. Lakshan asks the puppy to bite it now before he notices that the puppy becomes weak. The evil beast notices it as the puppy falls down on the ground and growls. Lakshan is annoyed realizing the consequences now. He realizes that the puppy is so hungry that he collapsed after doing one thing only. He calls out to Kugan and tells him he will borrow his sword. Kugan mentions that he wants a week's worth of eggs as he clenches his fist. Lakshan tells him all right as he takes the sword. From afar, Alose calls out to him as Lakshan ponders that for her own safety it is better if she does not know that he is Harkin. There are still a few hills they have to get over before getting here and knows that with the trees in between them they won't be able to see where he is for about 3 minutes. The evil beast tries to attack Lakshan as he ponders that is more than enough time. Alose and Chian reaches there as Alose pants and someone yells that the evil beast has been defeated. Lakshan asks Kugan to just say that he did it. Alose tells Kugan that he did it amazing. Kugan is nervous before he states yes. He did it so the eggs are his before someone says no. It is Lisa as she is upset. She mentions that her sheep is gone. She falls down as Aloes grabs her. The chicken was saved, but 4 of the sheep ended up dying, so they have decided to consider Lisa's request a failure. Aloes mentions, "That is too bad, but it makes sense as she cannot believe all this happened." He gives her the puppy as he tells her they got rid of the evil beast, so this little one should have returned to the world it came from. The puppy looks at her as it flies towards her. She questions why does it keep coming to her as it licks her. Lakshan mentions that he guesses it really likes people and eating food. She mentions that she smells like caramel because she melted it during the day for the bait. She realizes that this is why it is clinging to her. Lakshan asks her to give him a second as he will go ready a bath for her. She yawns as she thanks him. She asks the puppy if he wants to wash up too. She wonders that she was considering getting a wolf dog from the market. But maybe she won't need to if she has this. She asks the puppy if it wants to live in this village while it is here as she will feed it. It seems to agree as she tells him that she will give him a name. Lakshan is back as he tells her that the bath is ready, but he finds her sleeping. He grins as he picks her up with the puppy. He ponders that her place is too far, so she should just sleep here. He puts her in the bed as he knows it is more important to be comfortable when she sleeps. He also yawns and thinks that he will get some rest too. The puppy is also sleeping well as they all sleep on the bed. Lakshan comes with the carriage and asks Aloes if she is done getting ready. She tells him yes and asks him to just let her find her hat. She looks for her hat as she is unable to before the puppy brings it for her. She calls the puppy Rua and tells him he is a genius. She asks the puppy what kind of sound did she tell him to make when they are in public. The puppy barks. Lakshan asks the puppy's name is Rua. She responds that she gave him the name of Atirua. He questions is not that the name of the legendary animal that became the northern mountains? She tells him yes, it is. When there was nothing on the continent, an animal with a golden sheen came down to earth. The golden beast dug into the earth to create a lake, and used the dug-up soil to create mountains. At the end of its life, Atirua chose the northern region as its final resting place. Its bones became what is now known as the northern mountains, and its fur became the pointy needles of the trees covering the mountains. He mentioned that as a fantastic name. She tells him that it is too long, so she decided to shorten it to Rua. Kian questions is not a name like Cuckoo or something cuter. Kian asks the puppy to try saying Cuckoo, but the puppy seems confused. Aloes becomes upset and yells at Kian to not teach weird things to Rua. She asks Rua to not listen to it. Lakshan tells Rua something just to be safe. He mentions that if he acts however he wants because he gets frustrated and his identity gets revealed, he will get kidnapped within an hour. Lakshan is aware that more importantly, if people find out it is a divine animal, people who want divine animals will definitely come to the village looking for it. He tells the puppy that Aloes won't feed it, causing it to become shocked. The puppy decides to act obedient. They reach the city as Aloes ponders that this is a diva. She's really excited as she ponders of all the cities near Elden Village. This is the biggest one and that also holds a huge market every month. She questions Lakshan if that is the castle where the mercenary king lies. The Lord of Deva lost his life in battle, and his successors and family died as well. As a result, Deva became a part of the empire. Along with a title, the emperor bestowed this land to the mercenary king Harkin for having saved his life. She asks him if he has ever seen the mercenary king. He seems hesitant. She notices that as she ponders that his mood has suddenly gotten so grim it looks like no one was able to so much as approach Lakshan. She tells him that if he trains hard from now on, she is sure that he will become an excellent mercenary like Harkin. He seems confused as she pats him, telling him that he should not be too disappointed and he can do it. His companions teases him, telling him that he indeed can become a mercenary if he tries his best. Hien mentions that his right is starting now. He should drink lots of milk and train his swordsmanship skills harder. He clenches his fist in anger and ends up beating them. He asks Aloes what was on their schedule for today. She tells him that they need to go to the cattle market. She mentions that they have to get cows, horses, pigs, sheep, and chickens for Lisa. She is going to buy them all. Flashback Lisa tells her that will be her last gift as she questions what does she mean the last. Lisa gives her some eggs and tells her she usually sells sheep wools to make money, but they died during this recent event. Her father thinks it is better for them to return to the bigger village. She says goodbye to Aloes as Aloes thinks there has to be a way. She calls out to Lisa and tells her that there is a way both of them can get benefited from this. After discussing it, Lisa questions if she means to say that she will buy the cattle and bring them to her, and she will be the one to raise them, asking if what she means is correct. Aloes tells her that is right. In other words, consignment rearing is a common method used in areas near the capital. Even if she wants to raise a sheep and cows, she does not have a farm, but Lisa has a farm, but she does not have cattle. Lisa mentions that is right. Aloes mentions that in return for supplying her with the cattle, she can get 70% of the farm's produce, and Lisa can get the rest, and even when she sells the cattle, Lisa can get 10% of the sales amount, and when offsprings are produced, she gets the first 3 babies and everything after is Lisa's. Lisa thought about it for a while before she told Aloes that it is a deal, and they can give it a try. She signs the contract and tells Aloes that she looks forward to working with her. Back in the present, Aloes is going to go to the cattle market with Lakshan. She tells others that they should meet here in 3 hours. Someone peeks at them and the puppy. He tells her that the livestock markets are this way, and it is a bit far away from the produce market because it smells so bad. She questions, does not he want to go see the market as well? He states that he has never liked crowded places, but Lisa ordered him to, so he has no choice. Lisa told her that she should take him with her when she goes to Deva, as he used to work on their farm when he was little, so he has a good eye for livestock. He told Lisa that he was going to, even if she did not tell him to. Aloes was thinking that she did not know he used to work on a farm. She asks him if he enjoyed working on the farm. He responds that no, he didn't. She questions then why did he work on Lisa's farm. He tells her that when he was little, he wanted to ride horses. He begged his father to buy him one, but his father told him that a man of the north tames a wild horse to ride, so if he wanted to ride horses, he had no choice but to work on a farm. If she does have that, his father is a lot more extreme than she thought he would be. He shows her his mark and mentions that he actually fell off a cliff trying to catch a wild horse. He questions if she can see this cut near his ear. She is able to see it as she pokes it. He suddenly becomes nervous as she questions if that hurted. He covers himself and tells him that his code. He ponders that it is not that he does not like her touching him, he just feels tingly as his heart begins to beat. He asks her that they should go as he rushes. She calls out his name and asks him to wait up, thinking what is wrong with him. As they arrive, she realizes it really does stink here. He asks her how much livestock did she say she's going to buy. She decides to check it, as she sees that she decides to buy 200 chickens, 50 sheep, and 30 pigs, 10 cows, and 2 horses. He tells her that is quite a lot. He questions if they should look at the chickens first. Everyone tells them that their chickens are really healthy and that they should look at these fresh eggs. And they can feel free to take a look. He tells her that with chickens, she needs to carefully inspect their butts. That is the first place that shows if they are sick, and if there is even one stake chicken, it is best not to buy them from that seller. She nods as he continues, stating that diseases spread easily among chickens, so there's a high chance the other chickens from the same seller will also be sick. The puppy also sniffs around as he growls at the chicken. She asks the puppy if he does not want her to buy from this place. Lakshan also agrees with the puppy. Aloes tells the puppy that he is so clever. Right then, the girl that was peeking at them questions if she can pet the puppy as it is really cute. Aloes is nervous, but she allows the girl to pet it, and mentions that the puppy's name is Rua. The girl tries to reach out to her bag, before Lakshan comes in between and pushes her away, causing her to grit in anger and run away. He tells her that she should watch out as there are a lot of pickpockets here. Aloes tells him that she's aware of that, and she did not do anything because she has him. He asks her, but still, what was she going to do if he was not watching? She tells him that is impossible as he questions what if he stole something. She questions if he means that he will steal her belongings. He tells her yes, it is certainly possible. She asks him to then go ahead and try. He waves his hand as he calls out to Kian. She questions if he thinks that she will fall for a silly trick like that. He leans towards her and tells her that she already did. He shows her the coin in his hand as she searches for it in her bag and becomes startled, questioning when did he take it. He tells her that she should give him her bag and then he will explain it to her. She gives him her bag as he mentions that he actually did not take it. He questions why would he when she's giving it to him like this so he can easily steal it. She is dumbfounded as he asks her to be careful. Her mood begins to be low as he thinks that maybe he ended up teasing her too much. She tells him that she will not let anyone else fool her like that. She raises her head and tells him that she fell for it because it was him, causing his heart to beat faster. He wonders if he has gone insane as he turns around and tells her to take her bag. He wonders why do those words make him feel so happy. She smacks his back and tells him to try it again and that she will not get fooled this time. He tells her that they should go look at some sheep now. The puppy sighs looking at them. Sheep breeds very drastically depending on what they are going to be used for. He asks her what does she want them for. Is it for wool or is it for milk? She tells him that cow's milk is more useful than sheep's milk, so it is for wool. She also states that it is cold here in the north, so wool will be easier to sell or use later on. The puppy jumps and checks every sheep, as when it comes to sheep, one has to check the quality of their fleece, what they are being fed, and whether their hooves and teeth are in good condition. The puppy checks every sheep and points at the one which is not good, also checks the pigs and points at the one which is good. They are done shopping as. The seller tells them that they have a wise choice and exceptional taste. She is aware that the puppy saved them a lot of time. No, they need to go to the bank and send the money to the merchant's account. She asks him if they do not pay him directly. He tells her that is too large a sum to carry around. Once they get the stamp confirming they have sent the money, they will give them a receipt, when the merchant will bring their animals to the village. The merchants ask them to please come again. The puppy sniffs something as she asks the puppy what is it. Lakshan tells her that he smells butter. It is a bakery as they go inside it. She checks those pastries, realizing that she has read about them. She always wondered how they made it into that shape, and she sees that is how it is done. The seller looks at her before he slams the window shut. She wanted to keep watching as Lakshan asks her if she wants to go in. She tells him yes as she goes in. They ask her to have a taste and try their new pastry. They put in a lot of brown sugar from the south, giving it a sweet and rich flavor. She also asks the puppy if he would like to try one as well. Aloes tries one. Lakshan is liking it as he mentions it is crispy on the outside, but sweet and soft on the inside. There is a deal that if they buy 5 and they will get 1 free today, only just 1 drachma for a pastry, and they can take home 6 pastries for only 5 drachma. Aloes finds that expensive as she knows one can buy 4 loaves of rye bread for 1 drachma. They are almost all sold out. The attendant pings at them telling them it will take some time for them to restock brown sugar, so if they do not buy any today, they might have to wait several months. Everyone begins to stand in line, mentioning that they want some too. Aloes looks at all of them before she also begins to tell that she wants some too. The empire has a wide variety of bread now. Lakshan asks her to look at this one, and that one originally in the north they never had soft pastries like this. He tells her that rye grows better here than wheat does, so it was hard to get soft bread. He questions which one should he get as he thinks that all of them look really good. She tells him that they should just buy them all. He tells her that sounds good as they end up buying a lot of it. She notices that the window is open again. She sees the exact same girl from earlier and wonders what is she doing. The girl trembles as Aloes has her eyes on her. Lakshan tells her those are heavy and that he will carry it. She thanks him. The bakery attendant yells at the girl questioning what is she doing, and asks her to get lost as she trembles. Lakshan founders that looks like a serious paralysis as it probably would not be possible for her to use her arm normally again. The girl runs away as he asks Aloes if they should go. Aloes is still staring at the girl. She wonders why she was looking into the bakery like that. It was as if she was about to burst into tears. She tells him that she is glad they bought all of this, but she does not think they can continue carrying everything around. He tells her that there are storage places where they can leave their things when they have bought too much, and it is difficult for them to carry it around. He decides to put the things there as he asks the puppy to give the one he is holding to. The puppy begins to run as Lakshan wonders if he was waiting for him to say that. He tells the person that they will be back in about 3 hours. Aloes Wonder said she really enjoys having Lakshan by her side more than anything else. He is reliable, and she is comfortable around him. She thinks that after she leaves Eldon Village, who will she go shopping with like this? He stares at her and asks her what is wrong. She tells him it's nothing. Ship orders that he is so sharp and questions if they should have lunch. He realizes it is lunchtime already. He tells her that there are a lot of places to eat, so why does not she pick one as she can choose what she likes, and he is fine with anything. She looks around as she tells him these places are nice, but how about they go somewhere exceptionally nice today? They reach a restaurant as the attendant tells them they can enjoy their meal with their pet out on the terrace. She looks at the view as she finds it really nice up here. She tells the puppy that it is even better since they can eat together. She looks at the line of people as she wonders what are they waiting for. The attendant tells him it is the line to meet Harkin the mercenary king. Aloes asks if he is in the castle right now. The attendant mentions that he believes he is not there at the moment as he heard officials dispatched by the imperial family have arrived and started some task. It is making people anticipate that Lord Harkin will return as well. That is why they are waiting in line. She questions they waiting, even though they do not know when he will be back. He tells her yes, that is true, as if they are able to see him then waiting is nothing. He gives her their menu. She tells him it is incredible. She mentions that Harkin might be one of the most famous people in Deva. Lakshan asks her if she wants to see him too. She tells him even if she does, looking at that line, she doubts she will ever be able to before she dies. He questions if she were given a chance to meet him, would she take it? She seems confused before she asks him to stop joking around, as he is making it seem like he's really going to help her meet him or something. He is guilty as she tells him, but honestly if he asks her if she wants to meet him, then the answer would be a no. He nods before he is startled and questions, why not? But she does seem that before she came here she thought he was an impressive figure, and she still thinks that he is, but after coming here it seems like, he gulps as he waits for her response. She mentions that he is a horrible lord. The entire area around here is his territory, including Eldon Village. He should be taking care of it, but it has become a mess, and one does not even know where he is. She slams the glass on the table. She is frustrated as he flinches. She mentions that if he does not want to manage his territory, he should give up his position as a lord of this area. Lakshan tells her that he heard that he did not want the land, but he had no choice but to accept because His Majesty forced him to. She asks him how does he know that he remains quiet before he tries to act dumb, mentioning that he is sure he has his reasons. He states that even on the battlefield, never really revealed himself unless it was for battles where he was badly needed. The waiter just said that the imperial family sent some people here, so he is sure they will do a good job of managing the land. Before she cuts him in between and questions if it basically means that he entrusted them with a task because he did not want to do it himself. She states that is neglecting his duty. He looks down as he appears to be upset, but he realizes that she is right. He squeezes his hand, knowing that he did not accept the territory because he wanted to, but since he did accept it, the right thing to do would be to take responsibility for it. He seems a bit awkward and thinks maybe he should come by more often from now on. Aloes suddenly becomes nervous and thinks that she should have stayed quiet. She ponders that he probably does not like her saying anything bad about Harkin. She calls out to him before someone shouts a thief. They look downstairs as it is a man holding onto the same girl from earlier. The man asks to hold that woman down. People begins to murmur as she asks them to let her go. Aloes realizes she is the same girl that she saw at the livestock market. The man yells at her and questions how dare she steal from their place. She continues to ask them to let her go. The man tells her that she looks like someone from the Empire. He asks her what is she doing here in the north, telling her to go beg in the capital. The girl shouts at him and questions if he thinks that she came to this dirty land because she wanted to. The man shouts at her back, questioning what did she say. He asks her, what does she think she is as he smacks her. He grabs her and tells her if she thinks she can get away with this. He mentions that this is the city ruled by Lord Harkins, the one who saved the Empire, and she dares to disgrace the North and commit a crime here. The people questions that is right. How dare she shame the North? They decide to turn her over to the authorities. And that Lord Harkin's deputy will punish her. One must smirks and states, there is no need to make things cumbersome by involving the authorities. He reaches out in his pocket as he states, since this is the land of mercenary. They should handle matters according to the ruler of mercenaries as it takes out a dagger. And he questions if she even knows the rules of mercenary, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. She begins to flinch. Ends over to her and tells her if someone steals her money, she takes their money from them. But it is obvious that she does not have any, and in cases like this, they have to take the hand that has committed the crime as he grabs her hand. She begins to tremble and asks him not to take her arm. She shares her eyes, asking him to not do that right. Then the puppy gets involved as he smacks the man's head. Aloes tells the public that he did a good job and asks him to stay there, that she's coming. The puppy bites the man's head. The man grabs the puppy before Aloes smacks him. She rushes out and points at the man to let the girl go. The man questions if she is with her. Lakshan reaches for the dagger and grabs it. They realizes that they need to watch out from him. She tells them that the North is a part of the Empire now, so they must be punished according to the imperial law. She questions if they have any objections as Lakshan glares at them and show them the dagger. The man wakes up as they are glad he woke up right on time. Aloes mentions that she's going to go to the authorities to report that child. She tells the man that he is the victim, so she thinks he will have to come with her. The man asks her if she wants to go to the authorities just because of a pickpocket. The man tells that girl to consider herself lucky and leaves. Lakshan picks the girl up and realizes that she is as light as a feather. He thinks that she's about 10 years old. Aloes, what do they do now before someone calls, or to them the man stared that she is part of their gang so that they should give her back to them. Lakshan glares at them thinking, what the hell are these guys? Aloes questions if they mean to say that they are a family. A man tells them that they will take her home. Aloes tells them that it is good as she was about to go to the authorities so they can come with them. The man asks was not she saving her. She tells him yes she was, but she still needs to be punished. She questions if she should call the police first. The man turns around and decides to run. She questions what is the point of telling an obvious lie. Lakshan tells her that she did a good job. They know that they cannot just leave her here on the streets and decide to take her to the hospital. It is already nighttime as someone is looking for Scylla. A girl asks if she's looking for her little sister. She asks if she has seen Scylla. The girl tells her that she got caught during the day stealing a wallet at the restaurant. The woman begins to cry and questions if she has been taken to the authorities. The girl states no, what she heard from people who were there, that someone put her on a wagon and took her. The woman questions word and which direction as she grabs the girl. The girl tells her she does not know and points at the direction, stating maybe that one. The woman rushes for Scylla to look for her. A girl goes to Daisy and tells her she wants to have that bread that she made. She's dreaming as she gasps and gets up, questioning where is she. She notices the puppy and look at its wings. She yells. Aloes she goes to her and tells her she's up. Scylla asks where is she and what is wrong with this dog. She questions if for this or monster as it has wings, causing her to be really shocked. Aloes asks her to not be shocked, stating that the puppy does not bite. She mentions that is not what she meant. She begins to cry as she ponders that come to think of it what happened, realizing that she almost got her wrist cut off near the restaurant. Aloes introduces herself and asks her what is her name. She mentions that her name is Priscilla and tells her she can just call her Scylla. Aloes' cells are all right and mentions that she has a cracked rib so she needs to move slowly. Lakshan also appears and asks her if she has woken up. Priscilla ponders that they are northerners as she flinches. She begins to get worried as she yells at them, questioning where is she. Lakshan tell her that this is Eldon village. She wonders that she has never heard of it before. She questions how far is it from their Deva, realizing that she needs to go back to the right away. He tells her it is several hours by carriage to Deva. She questions what? Aloes tells Priscilla that she has been unconscious for 3 days. She is startled as she questions 3 days. She gets up and tries to walk, stating that she needs to go back. Aloes tells her that she needs to rest completely. She holds her back down, telling her she's not fit to go anywhere, but Priscilla asks her to let her go. Lakshan steps closer to her, telling her that Aloes stayed by her side caring for her for the whole 3 days. Instead of taking her to the authorities, they brought her here and took care of her. He questions does not she think she needs to thank them first. She's really frustrated and Terry. She yells at them that she needs to go to her sister and she needs her and she cannot use her hands without her. She also mentions that she's probably looking for her right now. She begins to get weak as she mentions she needs to go. Aloes calls out to her as they put her back on bed. Lakshan she needs rest and shouting and crying when she is still recovering isn't good. Aloes mentions that she thought she would not get involved in stuff like pickpocketing if she had a family. That is why she brought her here to Eldon. But she ended up separating her from her family. Location tells her that Priscilla cannot travel to Deva in her condition, so Kian and he will go. Kian questions why him as well. Aloes asks if he really intends to go. He states that he brought Priscilla here together with her, so he is partly responsible. Thought that she does not have to be sorry. She smiles and tells him all right. He is sure that she won't be able to move, but still. He asks her to hide her valuable just in case. She tells him she will and asks him to not take too long and that she will be waiting 3 pointers, that someone is going to wait for him to return home. It feels quite nice to him. A guy is fishing as he gets up and notices a woman and one shares. He notices she's an imperial citizen. Founders of outsiders are dangerous, as when he was little, Patterns welcomed outsiders. The person apologized for introducing at such a late hour, but the life in the mountains can be quite lonely. They told them that they are always welcome. His parents lost their lives to their outsider. When he did become a mercenary and was trying to avenge his parents, he learned that Lakshan was also after that man. Lakshan asked him if he was also looking for the serial killer. When they found themselves facing the same prey, Lakshan willingly handed over the opportunity to him. He charged at him and took the revenge of his parents. As he wiped his tears, since that day he started working with Lakshan and ended up settling down in Eldon village. Strictly speaking, his auction outsider in this village. He wonders what did he bring upon himself as he brings the wound home.